It's I only say that because they keep telling me over and over again it's the first day of spring. Thank you.
For you, it is. For us, it's tomorrow.
No, the 20th of March is the first day of spring.
Not according to Twitter. It says tomorrow is.
Which is what I thought it was, which is making me paranoid.
Who cares? Doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Yeah, what even I don't know about like the rest of where people's locations are, but where I am, I don't think seasons exist anymore.
Fair
I'm in
play.
the same boat. Dude, it's like shoot 47 degrees this morning.
That's what it is.
And
That's about what it is
yeah,
here right now.
I know. And it's like I don't like I was wearing a ton of I was wearing layers today because I thought I might have to work outside. Didn't have to, but I was prepared. I mean, I had my Hangman Adam Page shirt underneath my work clothes and my Danhausen sweatpants underneath my work clothes. So it's like, all right, oh yeah, welcome to our first Monday QA show here on the Popcast Network, and lots of questions already in here. So may end up having to cut the chat before 6:30 at this rate. Anybody that pops in later, pun not intended, may get a pass. I know that was Parsnip Burger's concern last time. Had a fun time last time. Should have a fun time tonight as well.
Right, that. Hopefully that's all right now.
I see us now, so we're
There we
good.
go.
Brian says stream problems. You are buffering and we don't see your faces,
Yeah.
says Josie.
Hopefully that's all right now.
Yeah, it says it's still buffering according to my vantage point.
Nothing changed from last night. Nothing changed from last night.
Oh,
I mean, there's other stuff running. That's the. I'll shut that off.
chat, please let us know when
Why is
we're
that still running?
presentable again. Now we see your faces, but you're frozen. Tim says your stream is frozen.
Now it's dropping frames like a son of a bitch. Hang on, if I shut that off. It's not dropping frames anymore. Hopefully it's coming through alright now. If worst comes to the worst, I'll just... Yeah, it doesn't seem to be dropping frames anymore.
Well, it looks like we're frozen, but I'm gonna look see if I can check to see if we're frozen still on my vantage point. Here. I see AJ spinning in the chair. I think we should be good now.
Yeah. Just gotta wait for Firefox to restart.
Tim said we're still frozen, but I can see from my vantage point that we're not.
I mean, there was like a big spell when we were dropping frames, which, you know, can't think exactly why, but it's running. It should be running now. I haven't had any drop frames for a few minutes, so
Right.
may
This
have
was the
just
time I
been
was
one of the.
treated.
It may have been one of the things in the web browser that was just causing it to chug. So by
Would have been nice.
restarting it, I probably lost half the questions in the chat. But if you've got them, then that's all right. So.
I've got everything. Tim says we're good. Okay, cool. I'll keep with that. No, I got everything. Don't worry. I've been copying stuff. You did lose most everything because it cut off everything until 5:38. Okay. We're out of sync, according to Brian.
Oh.
Don't watch it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't one thing, it'd be another. Let's just go. Spencer Reed asks, "Hi guys, favorite popcorn flick that may not be the greatest movie, but a fun one from start to finish."
Should we do the poll first?
Oh, great.
Oh,
We'll get to the poll when I can get access to put the poll in.
Well, considering the fact that Ashley's having computer issues, I would say no, because we don't really know when we can put the poll in.
Once I can get Firefox loaded up, which might be the next sort of 5 minutes when it gives me access to it, then we can. We'll do a few questions to fill the time either way. Popcorn flick. I mean, the most recent one I can think of is Bad Boys for Life. I don't remember the plot, but it was fun.
It's really funny you say that because just kind of the Bad Boys movies in general was the first thing that popped into my head. I was trying to figure out. Usually, popcorn movie is attributed to like big action movies, but I've never really known what the definition is because I kind of feel like a lot of horror movies would be popcorn movies also.
I can see that.
Even if many of them, like, are unappetizing still. Because there's a lot of stuff that I probably would have said in the past that I'm just not really into right now, like superhero movies and like Fast and Furious movies and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm not into the way I once was. Because those kind of seem like the quintessential answers. I'm trying to remember the last big action movie that wasn't a franchise movie. And I got nothing.
Honestly, this is an interesting way to answer it, but I feel like a movie that's not necessarily the greatest thing, but I've enjoyed every single one of them. I like the Jackass movies.
Yeah, I guess the question is when I was talking about horror movies being unappetizing, how literal do you take the term popcorn movie? Because I'm not trying to digest fucking anything during a Jackass movie.
That's fair. I like the Broken Lizard movies.
Yeah.
They're good from start to finish. I enjoy those.
I know those last two are imperfect, I guess you could say. I caught some pieces of Super Troopers 2 on TV the other day, and it's one of those movies that you want to love because you love them, and the story behind it where they went through Kickstarter and got like much more than they thought they would is great. So it's like it's great that the movie exists, but the quality of the movie itself leaves a lot to be desired. A lot.
Maybe the Cannonball Run movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like that. It's not like so bad it's good, but it's like stuff that's sort of enjoyable en masse. Maybe. don't know. I mean, Bad Boy was
I
the thing that came to mind.
I think the Cannonball Run movies are shit, but if you had said the first Smokey and the Bandit, then we'd be on the same page.
Smokey and the Bandit's a good answer. I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And I got to rewatch theatrically of it recently, and it was nice. It was nice being able to see that in the theater finally. I've waited a long time for that.
Yeah, because I obviously I love a great big action movie, but like so many of them are just so. Because even John Wick, that now they're so entwined in their own like storylines that it just doesn't feel like there's a standalone action movie. There's not like a Speed or a Face Off of this era.
No, not really. Fast and Furious is probably the closest thing, and that, and still not.
That's devastating.
Yeah, we're gonna be here all day if we continue this conversation. Spencer asked, top 5 favorite movie sets of all time.
I can say right now these probably aren't going to be in a specific order.
Yeah, same.
I've noticed because there's a lot of times where I forget the obvious answer and it's embarrassing. So I found myself going to my top 2 favorite movies of Pulp Fiction and The Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
And when we get questions like this, my first thought now is, okay, does this question apply to Pulp Fiction or The Wizard of Oz? So
Right.
the first 2 that come to mind are Jackrabbit Slims and Munchkinland.
Then I'm gonna go with the quick stop in the Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. I would say the lobby of the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's a good one.
Basically any Wes Anderson movie ever.
Yes.
um the big set in The Ladies' Man, the Jerry Lewis movie.
Mm.
There's gotta be a Tim Burton set. Actually the first Tim Burton set I want to say is the model in Beetlejuice.
Good idea.
The mansion in Clue in general. How many is that? That's probably like 6 or 7 I've just said. So yeah, those in no particular order.
For me, anything that Ken Adam did across everything. You know, some of his sets are sort of iconic. The War Room from Doctor Strangelove. God knows how many of the lairs of the villains in James Bond.
Yeah.
Ken was just on the nose with nearly everything that he did over his tenure, so I'd just go with basically Ken Adams films. I think he's probably one of the best set designers there's ever been.
Now that Kubrick's been brought up with Doctor Strangelove, any of the white rooms in a Kubrick movie would be up there for me also.
I'd say Stu's house.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I almost want to say the late night set. Yeah, okay. I'll do that. I will go with Letterman's late night set from Man on the Moon. Because obviously it's not exactly what it was, because Letterman wasn't doing late night back then when Man on the Moon came out.
I also throw in any movie theater set, like the movie theater from The Shape of Water or something.
Got so many ideas. You're giving me like so many impossible ideas for a movie club. I don't know what to go with.
Oh, I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't say like one of the Ridley Scott sets, like the Nostromo or something.
I'm gonna mark for that stuff though, so maybe Wayne, the Batcave.
Yeah, were you getting ready to say the Wayne's World set? That's a good answer.
I was about. I see. Yeah, I was. I'd say the Wayne. I'd say literally Wayne's basement, not the Noah Vanderhoff Wayne's basement. Wayne's legitimate basement, or maybe Wayne stock in general.
I was trying to think if there was a stage of some sort.
Maybe
The Dogville stage.
I would say the Wonder stage from the final performance.
Yeah.
That's a cool set. Reminds me a lot of Hairspray, actually.
I want to say, I feel like I have to say a Star Wars set, but none like specific really come to mind. I'm trying. I mean, the Millennium Falcon set, I guess, would be the definitive answer, but
I would say, ooh, yes, that's perfect. I would say Frankenfurter's Castle.
yeah, especially the ballroom and the lab.
I was also thinking Floor Show for the pool. For Don't Dream It.
Yeah, that'd be a good stage answer.
Plenty of great answers I could take from Rocky Horror. Yeah, we can again another question we can go all day on. Good Lord. We might end up having to cut chat before 7. Just Josie and Spencer alone. If there could have been a makeup and hair category separated this year, who would be your 5 personal nominees for each?
I've got nothing for hair. That's just something I do not think about.
Spencer, you're walking a fine line. I don't want to talk about that movie in any way, shape, or form, or any chance that someone might pick it.
I don't really remember. I mean, hair for Shoe would definitely come to mind, but makeup, I can't really think of anything. Because I think the hot dog fingers aren't like it. They were never meant to look convincing, so
I
the
mean,
fact that they doesn't mean anything.
you'd have the Whale, you'd have Elvis, you'd have Batman.
It's probably sounds about right.
Yes, I'd have to go. I'd have to go old school with that category and just have 3 entries.
Spencer, there's a lot of like if you like just get questions like this, it's like it's hard to like knock them off the top of your head. We do the best we can, but
Yeah,
sometimes
I was trying to remember what was on the short list and didn't make it, but I can't remember it.
I would say Mrs. Harris would probably be on hair.
Hang on, see if I can get the shortlist up.
I don't know. Watch it. Watch what you say.
I mean, I'll just say redacted.
That's good. I'm fine with that.
I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this night and just preemptively say that my answer to every single question is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
He's beat up the night, killed the night, and I live now.
That would be hilarious if you literally just did the outro right now. We just end.
Don't don't test me.
What are we looking up right now?
I don't know.
Oh, he's looking at the makeup short list.
I think I'm looking up the short list.
It wasn't even in the short list, Owen, so don't worry.
Oh, goody.
The short list was All Quiet, Amsterdam, Babylon, Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Blonde, Crimes of the Future, Elvis, Emancipation, and The Whale.
Yeah, Crimes of the Future should have made it.
I really do not like that movie. But I can see where makeup, it would definitely be something that people would pay attention to. Yeah, that's... Okay. Spencer says I had no idea Carrie Fisher was a script doctor.
Yeah.
Helped fix Sister Act, Last Action Hero, Anastasia, and The Wedding Singer.
I knew about The Wedding Singer. I wasn't sure. I don't think I knew about the others. Last Action Hero's random for her.
David F. Sandberg, or whatever his name is, announced he's done with comic book movies, which is good because I love Lights Out.
Yeah, Lights Out is terrifying, and Annabelle Creation is his. He's an incredible horror director.
Spencer further states, I hated Shazam 2 and then no talent hack Zachary Levi. The main is the problem I have with it. Chapter 2, the kids make the movie what it is, and other than Adam Brody, the kids are the magic.
I haven't gotten around to Shazam 2. I'm just, like I said, with superhero movies, I'm just not in a hurry anymore.
Yeah,
I really like the first movie, but
I think at this point, I'm like, the only superhero I even really care about is Batman. And I guess to a lesser extent, Spider-Man. I'm not going to really jump into anything else at this rate unless I'm forced to by the Academy. So, which I wasn't this year, thankfully. Jack Dylan Grazer is the best, and Asher Angel is underused. Just comments that get thrown in the chat.
with the way that was worded, I was trying to distinguish when he was talking about Shazam 2 and when he was talking about it. I think I've got it. Especially since Jack Dylan Grazer's in both, it's even more confusing.
It's a tad confusing, to say the least. Especially the way that this was going. I was watching some horror verses, says Spencer Reed, and you have to say Good Lighting by AJ.
Oh, I'm guessing that's in reference to that year where I did the horror verses, like with like the lights out and the projector behind me.
Probably, yes.
That was fun. That actually backfired on me once. I think it might have been when I was talking about Stir of Echoes, I think.
Right.
And talking about Stir of Echoes in the dark actually started to creep me out.
Well, you didn't have Bagul jump out of the screens. That's all that matters. Spencer asked, what is the last movie you watched?
Cocaine Bear.
Nice.
Is it though?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It was a fun theatrical experience to watch with a crowd. I'll put it that way. And I watched it with a full crowd. Watching it by yourself, maybe not as much, but
that video will exist soon, so I'll get my thoughts out there.
Mine's obviously The Crying Game.
I mean, outside of movie club stuff, it would probably be I Living for a second time now that it's finally available on video on demand. You know, Amazon purchase or whatever. So I wanted to watch that again.
What was
Because
the
I
last
like
theatrical? What was the last theatrical movie I watched?
Was it? It wasn't Champions, was it?
Yes, it was. Less said about that movie, the better. I guess you can't really count the series I've been watching on YouTube lately, the How to Beat and the Nerd Explains for horror movies. That's basically what I watch now. Or trying to catch up on like my music reviewers and New Legacy Inc. since 2K23 came out recently, so like sure. Favorite silent era actor and actress not able to transition to sound.
Well, I'm just gonna be completely honest here. I just don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I think the main reason for that is number one. I've been slowly coming to terms over the past like 15 years with the fact that I'm not.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
He's coming to terms with he's frozen.
Oh. Oh dang, even worse.
Right.
Where I
Oh.
Oh, we're coming to terms.
With the fact that I'm am deep in thought according to that. The best thing is I almost was half expecting AJ to have his middle fingers up touching his temples. AJ, are you back? That'd be a no.
how
And
Almost.
well I'm looking at my connection, and usually it goes from green to red to green, and it's just fucking stuck in red.
hang on, let me put the lizard on. See if I can change the region. See whether it assists. Let's change the central.
How was the sound? AJ's got the purple dots right now. Oh. Oh.
All right, we're back in green.
I'm seeing the green bar that says video connected.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to see that or not.
Yeah, that tells you that it's all right. That's like your That's like your quality to make sure that it ain't going wrong.
Okay.
So you were thinking of something, AJ.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think this is on mine.
It could be. Showing off an awesome shirt too. It's like it's hard to make that go to waste. Go ahead, AJ.
You hear me?
I think so.
Kind of. I just heard you a
Because it's
second.
it. Okay. Okay, yeah. I watched my connection. This was on my, and I watched my connection die.
Yeah.
As it's sputtering into death there right now.
The connection's spluttering. It's not as bad as it was, but
So,
Oh my dad.
Owen, you have to bring the side down as well now. You need a technical issue.
No, I don't need any more. That's why we have shows that last like 12 hours, because we have too many technical issues. I'm trying not to add to it.
Restart your internet off your computer if you have to, AJ. If you can hear this.
AJ can't answer that anyway, so we already went that kind of, oh my god, we're back to old school questions. Okay, Ashley, you want me to ask you the next question?
Might as well.
Thoughts on Lubavitch and Myers' inspiration for Paris Paramount?
I mean, I'm sort of indifferent to it. We're talking about, is it which Myers thing?
Thoughts on Ernst Lubavitch and Nancy Myers' inspiration for Paris Paramount?
Oh. When you said Myers, I thought part of it was like the budget she was requiring for something that's just going to be a romantic comedy.
Sure.
But yeah, in terms of her Paris stuff, I think that was all right.
AJ.
I'm afraid to say anything.
You're fine. It's just you don't have a camera. But we're good. You sound fine.
So where are we now?
Thoughts on Paramount?
The studio?
The Ernst Lubavitch and Nancy Myers inspiration for Paris.
Ernst Lubitsch?
Yes. I'm just going with what exactly the words say. It says Lubavitch.
My patience is gone now, so.
Oh, yep, same.
I love Ernst Lubitsch. I love Heaven Can Wait. The Don Amici movie that has nothing to do with the baby movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like The Shop Around the Corner. He's the kind of guy where it's like his Heaven Can Wait kind of reminds me a lot of The Devil and Daniel Webster. I feel like those kind of go together.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be, I mean, apart from stuff like Chaplin or Hitchcock or something like that, if somebody were to ask me for like a gateway to classic movies, Lubitsch would probably be at the top of the starting point list, because his movies are like pretty easily digestible but still of really high quality. So yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Chaplin, because that's part of the next question from Spencer. Thoughts on his filmography? I like City Lights and The Circus as my favorites.
Well, what I was trying to say before everything went to shit was, I'm not as taken by the silent era as I wish I was.
Sure.
Which is why I didn't have an answer to the stuff that I love from the silent era is usually like international, which is why I couldn't really pick an actor from the era.
Sure.
So silent era, Chaplin and Keaton never really did much for me either. So the Chaplin stuff that I love is like Modern Times and The Great Dictator and stuff from that era. Monsieur Verdoux, definitely, where he really kind of took a dark turn in a really fun way. What was the question again?
That was the question. We're good.
The
Okay.
Chaplin era, yeah, no. I mean, I rate a lot of them very highly, because it's trying to be able to tell stuff without using one of the key senses, and that's speech. You know, you can have your text to sort of speech, you know, where the words come up as to imply what they were saying. Um, so being able to connect in that way still is a pretty big accomplishment. And then when it came to the few sound ones that he did do, it showed you there was enough wit and interesting stuff there. You know, Great Dictator being as anti-war as you can get, where the studio, just like with Crying Game, the studio wanted a different ending, and Chaplin was like, "No, it's my film." Before we go any further, shall we poll it?
Oh,
Well, before we do the poll, I did want to mention one movie that kind of covers a lot of the territory we've talked about. That is a silent movie that I can recommend.
okay.
It's one that I actually saw recently. It's Fritz Lang's Destiny, which is basically like basically an anthology movie about death. But in like this very sort of, it's about death in this sort of very jubilant kind of way.
Mm.
And another thing that it ties into is that movie, for being 1921, I think it was, that movie has massive fucking sets. Like, so I can recommend that movie.
Okay. All right. Oh God. In real time, I'm actually trying to figure out which one I want to do.
Is silent.
Ashley, sitting in the poll.
How appropriate. We were just on the silent discussion.
Silence. Yeah, I've settled on mine. And I have a list of everything. I'm still seeing the Circle of Death, but I think I'm refreshing, so that helps. Okay. Ashley, you're setting up the poll now?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, we've been on the lizard for all that time. Fuck.
So nonchalant. So if you've never been before, if you're a lurker, then you can vote just like everybody in chat is going to get a chance to vote. Anybody that's here right now gets a chance to vote in the poll. We're going to pick 4 movies, one for each of the 3 of us and Chris, because he's going to be Popcast Movie Club exclusive moving forward.
Well, I will say one thing.
Oh my God, I just added another one on the list. Okay, go ahead.
It'll be interesting me picking the way I'm picking this time because I already know if Parsnip Burger should show up and vote, mine will not be first. I already know if he votes, that's a vote I am not getting.
You are absolutely correct.
Right, so in order of last time, we need Chris's first.
Hold on. Before we go further, I'm curious about this. Forgot to mention during awards coverage for the first time in history, someone in their nomination predictions got a 0 out of 5. Ashley for documentary short.
Yeah.
All right. I have. Man.
So yeah, Chris's is first because chronologically his was the first of the 4 last time. So.
Okay.
All right. My brother's choice for Movie Club that I'm very excited about is Mystery Men.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I love that movie.
2000, wasn't that? Damn you, Wikipedia, help me. 99, okay.
Oh, God.
There we go. So next up will be mine. And yeah, I'm going Easter related, but it's got nothing to do with Easter. My selection is 1981's The Long Good Friday. Because Good Friday, everyone. That was what I was trying to hint you at to last week when I gave you as a hint as to what was going on.
And like I was saying, I'm really psyched about that because I've always heard great things, but it'll be a first time viewing for me.
Next up is you, Owen. So work out
Well,
which coin needs to be flipped to work out what it is.
to get us as close to the date as possible, and that's all I'm going to say, I would really hope that I end up going second. But if I don't, I don't. I had a lot of ideas. I got about 10 of them right off the top of my head right now that I was thinking about doing. But I settled on one. We're going into the 2000s for mine, and we're going into some very familiar territory. There is a very brilliant, and it's a nice little somewhat connection to somebody that may or may not just have won a one of these, and I don't mean the Major Mark Trophy. The brilliant Christopher Guest. And I've been wanting to take on several of his films on here for quite a while. And trust me, they're coming. They really are. But there's two off the top of my head that I've always clung to. One, which was the original, and there's this one that I can proudly say I saw theatrically. I own the soundtrack for it, and it is a very fun mockumentary about folk music. Yes, I'm going with 2003's A Mighty Wind.
Oscar nominated for original song.
Yes, it was. Kiss at the End of the Rainbow. And they did sing the song on the stage. It was great. Catherine O'Hara playing the little, like, the lute to the song about Sureflow toileting is hilarious to me to this day. We're going to talk about that soon. Don't worry. Love Mighty Wind, and very much look forward to talking more John Michael Higgins too. So,
And then finally,
he's one of the new Main Street singers. So,
finally is AJ.
You guys have gotten a lot of clues over the past couple of weeks as to what mine is. I will say, to preface this, it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
ooh.
Remember how I said me and my brother did a top 15 of all time?
Yes.
Okay, we got a little glitchy there again. So when I picked Something Wild, I said if we had done a top 20, Something Wild would have been in it. If we had done a top 25, this would have been in it. So my clues over the past couple of weeks have been: I will not get Parsnip Burger's vote. It contains 2 cast members from The Great White Hype, and it's what's probably the biggest case of category fraud in the Academy's history. It's a riddle. What is it? Mine is also from the 2000s. This is kind of fun, making it a guessing game.
Sam Jackson's one of the people in the movie, right?
No.
Jeff Goldblum.
Nope.
Fox?
Jamie Foxx.
I like to cheat when I play games. Anyway. Oh! Is this somebody that should have been nominated for Best Actor but wasn't?
Oh, hell yeah. And this person that should have been nominated for actor and wasn't is the reason I'm not getting Parsnip Burger's votes. biggest fucking case of category fraud in the Academy's history, probably by far.
Well, I know
there's a lot of candidates for that.
Well, Jamie Foxx was the one that was nominated.
Yep.
And he is leading in this movie all day, every day.
Very much so.
AJ's pick is going to be Collateral.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
And by the way, we've got Thief, we've got Heat. I gotta confess also, my favorite Michael Mann movie. So, maybe controversially, but that's what it is.
Ooh,
so,
wait a minute. I need to put that on my list now. Oh, no, we've got a Versus on it. Never mind.
And yeah, I've been wanting to do a Versus with Collateral forever, and there's a lot of Hitman movies, but just really nothing that matches that tone in a way that I was satisfied with. So it's just never been talked about.
The poll is up. With ironically the first vote going to Collateral.
Nice.
Have to keep an eye on that in terms of order.
When AJ wins, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use my poll as to be the second week of the month.
I need to make a note of the order of these. So if it comes to like a tie, then it becomes which one got voted on first.
I will tell you right now that something I almost put in the movie club this week might possibly be my next one, or I might save it for later in the year. And I don't want to forget about something. There's things that are topical right now that I feel that probably would have made sense, and things that are fresh in my mind right now because of, again, what just happened. But no. That's not how I operate. We are officially going to be cutting chat at 7 o'clock. Josie said when you said Easter, I thought you were going to mention Watership Down.
Nah. It's something that I always thought it was related to Easter, just because of the title.
With the chicks and the bunnies, of course. Emojis.
So get your votes in. I'll be tallying when they come in case we have a tie, because it probably will.
All right. So we are... We're cutting chat, but I will say that Brian does have something that he was going to do the Oscar game, but this time it's going to be film editing, like we talked about last time. So yeah. I'm allowing that because that was something we've already discussed. And if anybody comes in late, we're not going to forget their comments. Brian asked real quick before we start, what this game will be is, would you stick with the winner or would you go with one of the other nominees? Okay. We'll set that up for later in the show. Okay. AJ's obviously winning right now. Shock surprise. Spencer says, can you name movies that turned around in the second act but struggled in the first?
Well, it didn't struggle the first time, but one of my go-to answers for this lately has been, when you're familiar with the concept, Inception has this problem. because they spend an
Yeah.
hour explaining the concept to you, and once you already know the concept, those scenes are kind of useless to you. They don't have and he didn't really do those scenes in a way that you can really watch them over and over again and there's an entertainment factor. It's mostly just you getting educated on the concept.
I'm gonna go with Spring Breakers.
I love all of Spring Breakers, but
I do,
I get
I
what
do
you
too. I do too. But
but when they meet Alien, it significantly picks up.
oh yeah, totally. I love Spring Breakers. That movie's amazing, and
I would
we've
I
not
would
covered it.
What was that?
We've covered it in reviews. We haven't covered it in the verses.
Yeah, I did Spring Breakers and Kids.
Oh, that's right. That's why I was trying to debate about doing kids before for movie club, and I'm like, I know we've done kids before. I know we've done Bully before, and those are the only Clark movies I wanted to go into. We've already done that.
Another answer I would say is a Best Picture winner. A Best Picture winner that kind of gets a lot of hate in general, more or less, which is Around the World in 80 Days.
Mm-hmm.
It takes him fucking forever to start going around the world in 80 days, but when he's going around the world in 80 days, it's actually a really fun movie. But
Right.
the first like hour or so is kind of a drag.
Oh man, I am trying. Oh, did I lose those questions? No, I don't think I did. Yes, Brian, you can continue because we've already started this conversation, and of course, his personal lineup for 2010 is going to be coming up in a little bit too. That's because we've already figured that out. But everybody else is pretty much done ski right now because we've got way much content right now. Spencer says I'd have to say Shirley MacLaine doesn't get the credit she deserves. Should have won the Oscar for Postcards from the Edge. That's also my favorite Meryl performance. I have a special relationship with my mother, so it tugged at my heartstrings.
Another heartbreaking Shirley MacLaine would be Some Came Running, the one with Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one more answer that once again might be controversial. One more answer for the slow first half picks up in the second half is Joker.
Yeah.
When you see Joker multiple times, the first half it feels long.
Most annoying editing choices in movies that you can think of.
I'm just gonna say Hank Corwin's name, and you can take it from there.
Nice.
There is a slasher movie, which is it's actually a pretty good one by like 80s slasher standards.
Mm-hmm.
Graduation Day.
Sure.
That movie's got some pretty annoying editing choices, like cutting back and forth between things, and it takes forever for something to happen.
Okay.
There's I'll bring it up when I review it, but there's one really bizarre editing choice in Cocaine Bear that stood out, where it's like, why the fuck did you do that way?
Nice. Okay.
I'm trying to remember when did when did the twist come in Cabin in the Woods?
Depends on what you consider the reveal to be, because there's probably multiple
Because I'd say
ways.
the fact that it's all sort of control, the fact that it's all Truman Show-esque. I think that's like when it gets to the second third, doesn't it?
It's pretty early.
Very early.
I mean, we meet Jenkins and Whitford in the first scene, and then when they come back and they start operating things, that's pretty early.
Yeah.
I
I'm
feel
just
like
trying to.
the first real reveal is when the bird hits the force field,
I'm trying to think of like
which is before they
the.
even get to the cabin.
I'm trying to think of like the first So there has been some horror film like that that I didn't really sort of latch onto. It just seemed generic, and then it went interesting and sort of different. I'm trying to think.
Oh, and
What.
didn't you say didn't you say this about Sleuth?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was very like kind of like okay, it's kind of trotting along, and then then I got into it once it really like picked up.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Sleuth rating for this.
I would say I vigorously disagree, but I remember it being a fitting answer for you.
For me, yeah, of course. Might as well do that for the summertime.
Are we live?
Who knows at this point? Most annoying cinematography choices in movies you can think of.
Hey, I don't really get what Oliver Stone is doing when his movies cut to black and white randomly. Like, especially, it was really rampant in the 90s with like JFK and Nixon and Natural Born Killers and stuff like that. Like something like The Hand, it makes sense because we're from the point of view of the hand, but in his 90s movie, in that run, that it feels very random for a reason I've never been able to put my finger on. That's always kind of been confusing.
Ashley, you have an answer before we move on to the next question?
I can't think exactly like what film comes to mind, but anything that uses Dutch angles when it doesn't need to, because it thinks, oh, putting this on a Dutch angle will make it seem interesting, and it's like, it would have been better if it was just a normal straight shot rather than, oh, Dutch angle means it's weird. Like, sometimes just looking at stuff that's sort of normal is weird enough. It doesn't need a Dutch angle to sort of go creepy.
I feel like there it seems like there was a especially an epidemic of that in like the early 2000s.
So according to Josie,
Yeah.
a minute ago, we're live, but the screen is frozen, but we can still be heard.
Okay. I'll see if there's anything going on under the hood.
Oh, cool. I'm trying to keep track of everything as much as I can. Spencer says, I think the issue with Disney live action remakes, they always assume darker tones are better. Ariel is supposed to be a beautiful mermaid, and the colors on the screen should reflect that. With the water splashing up against the rock, Halle Bailey is shown in darkness on the rock, and it doesn't give me hope. I think the new trailer actually made it look a lot better overall. But I'm still not sure because I haven't liked almost any of these live action Disney movies.
Yeah, they're not as I do agree the aesthetic is a big part of the problem.
I mean, Aladdin is probably one of my absolute favorite Disney movies of all time. They ruined that movie bad.
It's got a lot of defenders lately.
I know, but like I said, I'm a mark for the animated movie. I need a live action remake.
What I thought was really interesting about the Aladdin remake was even when it first came out, before people decided to start really defending it, even when it first came out, everybody accepted Will Smith's Genie.
That was fine.
And that you would, what was really impressive about that was how you would think that would be, when it's a part that's been done so iconically already, you think that'd be the first place they'd fail. So that they actually got past that obstacle of not fucking up the Genie was surprising.
I can see that. I mean, you got somebody recognizable that could pull it off, and I thought that helped considerably.
Yeah, because you could say, "Oh, Will Smith's genie's just Will Smith," but Robin Williams' genie is just Robin Williams.
Well, I mean, the genie that Will Smith was trying to do was kind of like a mixture of James Englehart and Robin Williams, and it worked because people that love the Broadway play and then love the original animated film could see version of both, but with a Will Smith twist to it.
I thought he made it his own pretty well. I didn't see much of Robin Williams at all in his.
It's just like some of his cadence, things like that. But I mean, he was more like James Englehart and like the Broadway portrayal of the genie, and I can see that a lot when I was watching the movie.
I do get the problem with changing the lyrics,
Yeah, that's a problem.
but I don't think that was a Will Smith choice. I think they do that throughout, and it's really, when you know the song so well, it's really jarring.
So we have a comment from a Rard D. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Duncan, I love Popcast, my favorite channel. I love Popcast, my favorite. Thank you. I appreciate it. Greatly appreciate that. And
when it's a name
sorry for butchering your name, good sir.
When it's a name we haven't heard before, I always get scared.
Huh?
When it's a name we haven't heard before, I always get scared before you say what the comment is.
That's a fair assessment. Or it could be a bot.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've got everything figured out at this point as best we can. I do think Jacob Tremblay as Flounder is perfect casting, though, says Spencer Reed.
I'm wondering when he did the voice work, because he's growing up quickly.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, his voice is going to get deeper.
That's a fair assessment as well.
Of course, that's like the kid that played Spider in Avatar being in fucking Scream 6. I didn't even recognize him at first.
And of course, the big thing with that is he's already filmed his stuff for Avatar 3 and 4. Because if they tried to shoot it when Avatar 3 and 4 was happening, he wouldn't be.
I'm looking at the cast for Little Mermaid, and I'm like, I don't know who some of these people are. That's probably a good point. Daveed Diggs as Sebastian is going to be interesting. Apparently Awkwafina is playing Scuttle, and Javier Bardem is King Triton.
That makes sense.
The McCarthy thing,
I feel like Bardem was one of the first people cast.
Huh?
I feel like Bardem was one of the first people cast, I think.
I believe so. Makes sense, actually. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. There's a lot of rumors about casting, but obviously they went nowhere. So should be interesting to see. I mean, it remains to be seen if it's going to be good or not. Not everything can be the Jungle Book. Or I guess the Lion King too, obviously.
In what regard?
Yeah, it's one or it's either one extreme or the other is what I'm looking at. I think the live action Mulan and Beauty and the Beast made me appreciate the originals so much more.
See, I didn't mind the live action Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I'm a tad biased towards Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, but I had no problems with either one of those.
And Mulan just, there's going to be a book written one day about all the things wrong with with the live action Mulan. Like a whole ass book, not just like an article.
It's like Prince of Persia all over again, literally. Spencer also asks, is there a Stephen King book or short story, has it been adapted, you would like to see as a movie or a limited series?
There's some really good stuff in Nightmares and Dreamscapes that's so simple. I'm not
Right.
really sure how it could be done. I could see it being done like really cinematically, but it's not. It wouldn't be marketable.
Sure.
So like if there was like an anthology kind of thing, kind of like when they did it before with Nightmares and Dreamscapes, but they brought in stuff from other collections, and that I wouldn't call that miniseries a success completely. Some of them were really good, but something like it would be something like that. It'd be like an anthology of some short stories that haven't been adapted yet, because there's a ton of those, and most of his books are going to be movies in the future. Like on that very very sad day that we lose him and his career is complete, I could see everything being adapted at some point.
Yeah. And we probably finally get a Stephen King related property at Halloween Horror Nights, which is another thing that everybody's waiting on too. Because if something is coming, it's not going to be the Stephen King version, that's for sure. But I'll leave that for other extremely uninformed people to talk about. So, Rard D. Duncan asked Brian, how do you name so many movies? And Brian's response, I just look it up. Love that. Sometime in the future, I'll be doing individual videos of me announcing the nominees for 2010 to 2022. This is just the Big 8, by the way. Okay, we'll get there in a little bit. I will say right now, as of this moment, Chris is winning the contest.
Nice.
Stay tuned, everyone. We'll get that. Actually makes sense if you look at the chat that I'm looking at right now. Top 3 Stephen King books. Does he have bad ones? And I just started reading Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot is really good. Salem's Lot took me a couple of times. I started Salem's Lot like a couple of times before I finally got all the way through it, and there's just so many damn characters in it, but it's really good. I have any bad ones? I'm sure there has to be, but usually they're all worthwhile. It's just what he's famous for. He can fuck up the endings sometimes.
Sure.
But I definitely have a top 2 books. I'd have to think of what the third one was. Obviously, to me personally, it has to be his magnum opus. There's just so much in it. No, I have a third book. I definitely have a third book for sure. My second one, I love, and this is a book and movie that doesn't really have the reputation it deserves because people kind of see it as just its concept, because the concept is so campy.
Mm-hmm.
The story and I've already talked about the movie, which I love so much, but the book especially, I love Christine.
Right.
Christine is a movie. Well, yeah, a movie, but specifically, Christine is a book about a fractured friendship that just happens to have a murderous car kind of being its allegory, and it's incredible. Third one, probably easy. It's weird how many books he has, but how easy this question is for me, because I know my answers are It, Christine, and 11/22/63.
Okay.
Like 11/22/63 is so good. I think I prefer it when it's on its downtime. Because when a book is long enough, there's the story,
Mm-hmm.
there's like the thing you're there for, but then
Sure.
like there'll just be downtime where the character's just doing whatever. I love the stuff in 11/22/63 when he's just like basking in the time period, going to the drive-in, all that stuff. I love that. I want to like live inside that book Yeah, minus the Kennedy assassination, obviously, but
Of course. Ashley, do you have an answer for top 3 King books? Uh-oh.
shout out to the Dead Zone too. The Dead Zone and Mr. Mercedes are fantastic, and Finders Keepers.
I'd probably
And
it would be in there. I put Misery and ooh. Probably Carrie as my top
Nice.
3. It's
Can't
hard. It's
get
hard. It's hard with
competition.
Shining because of like everything that sort of revolves around that and the sort of the what the film became and whatever. Because there's like bits from the book that I prefer to the film, and then a vice versa.
I just love how his stories are so fantastical, but with the way he writes, everything feels grounded. Like everything feels like it's in a real world.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you brought up Carrie, because I love how the way it's like the narration is already aware that a tragedy has happened,
Mhm.
and the way they talk about it, talking about what happens at prom, it sounds like you're reading a newspaper about a real tragedy, and it's insane.
Okay. Can't answer this because I'm not necessarily a reader.
And as far as the second part of that, as far as like bad ones,
Mhm.
it's obviously not a bad book at all. But the book of his that I struggled with the most was Firestarter. Firestarter, the book for Firestarter is way too long and has way too much rambling in it.
Nice. Spencer asks, thoughts on Heat 2? Watch the verses after hearing the news.
God, that's an old versus.
Yeah.
I mean, if I clearly he wouldn't do it unless he had a great idea, and I've only heard like vague things about it,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm not like freaking out I'm not freaking out in a positive or a negative way, because Heat is Heat as it is anyway.
Right. And speaking of that, something that might get to freak out. Denzel's officially been cast in Gladiator 2, with Paul Mescal, Barry Keoghan both starring with. This movie is the bomb, all caps. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I have no idea how to feel about this, but that cast is, oh my god.
Well, I know this. I don't want to like reveal cards, but I would very much appreciate if there is some because you can. This is how you force my hand. Someone needs to pick Gladiator for Movie Club, but you can't because there's already a versus that exists.
Old ass versus though.
I mean, I've never seen it, so that's the only way I'm going to ever get to watch it because I don't watch movies for fun anymore.
Yeah, because the Gladiator Braveheart versus was pretty popular.
Yes, it was.
Remember, a waiter at Buffalo Wild Wings brought that versus up to us when he had our table.
Absolutely correct.
And I don't remember that video being very good. So I don't know how to feel about that.
We shall see. Speaking of Braveheart Gladiator, Spencer says also watch that one. Great job.
Okay. That makes me feel a little better.
Sometimes when I'm watching the movie reviews, I read the shelves for movie ideas.
Oh, yeah.
This is all a bunch of Spencer commentary and questions. Favorite Lord of the Rings movie is Two Towers. What's yours? Thought Return of the King was the weakest, but it's still good.
Right? Thank you. Return of the King is the weakest. Yes. You can't say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Here's the thing.
By the way, mine's Fellowship by far. Though I have a weird relationship with Two Towers. There was one time where I didn't like Two Towers at all, but every other time I've loved Two Towers. I don't know what happened in that middle time.
When I used to work at the video store, I used to like put on Rings and Potter, like because that's an easy way to get through a shift.
Yeah.
Just put it on in the background. That's always fun. Growing up, The Hobbit was my absolute favorite, but I feel that's the worst movie. Weirdly enough, to me at least. The Hobbit's my favorite book, but it's the worst movie.
I will defend An Unexpected Journey, but The Desolation of Smaug and The Battle of the Five Armies are fucking shit.
Yeah, those are garbage movies. Spencer says actually thought Mystic River should have won Best Picture. I agree.
Yes,
100%
for sure.
agree. Favorite use of a clock in a... Go ahead, AJ.
Oh my god. I'm not doing this on purpose, I swear. I was gonna say, yeah, because 2003 had a pretty weak lineup, because apart from Mystic River and Return of the King, it was Seabiscuit, Master and Commander, and apparently my favorite movie to bash, Lost in Translation.
God dang it. Favorite use of a clock in a movie?
I like the clock smashing scene in Hook is fun.
Yeah.
Fun and then surprisingly emotional. That's a really good scene.
I'm going to go with Groundhog Day.
Yeah. The scene at the beginning. What was yours?
Groundhog Day.
Going back to Harold Lloyd and going off a clock.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they ripped it off in that 70s remake of the 39 Steps, which was just terrible.
Yes, safety last is one of the right answers. How about the climax of The Great Mouse Detective with Big Ben? A lot of Big Ben scenes. Obviously, I love the climax of Mary Poppins Returns as well. Another thing I was going to bring up was the beginning of Bad Santa when he wakes up and he fights the alarm clock with beer bottles.
Peter Pan. Peter Pan's a good one.
Yeah.
It's literally the point of the crocodile.
Is there it's not the Breakfast Club, is it? Isn't there's a scene where somebody's waiting and we're looking at a clock and then one of the clock's hands like subtly goes backwards instead of forwards. Is that the Breakfast Club?
That would make sense given the circumstances.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Favorite theme of time going by or running out of time in a movie?
Time going by, is that just like a like a time lapse kind of thing?
Maybe.
Or?
Maybe.
Possible. Like the butterfly effect, possibly?
Well, mine in that regard isn't a movie. It's when I think it's when SpongeBob's trying to open his own burger stand. And we get that montage of him saying, "I'm ready," and he's getting older and older, and the pineapple's melting in the background. And then the end of it is a tombstone that just says, "I'm ready."
Good God.
I posted that as a GIF on a movie forum when we learned The Irishman's runtime.
Wow. Crazy.
I found that appropriate.
Oh man, we got some weird conversations to have in a little bit, my friends. If we don't already.
Yeah, I guess the definitive answer for that is the time jump in the middle of Hakuna Matata. That's my answer.
That's a good one.
The clock going backwards was risky business.
Right. Okay.
Well, Todd, time going by or running out of time, I probably would say funny games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't even take into account the running out of time, but
Yeah,
that could be a number of climaxes to like
lots of
action.
lots of potential bombs going off.
Yeah.
Batman
Yeah,
and the
you got.
bombs.
Yeah, you've also got to mention Goldfinger, where the clock stops on 007.
That's cool. Affleck should make another Town, so AJ is forced to do a versus of Town 2 versus Heat 2.
I don't know because Renner dies at the end of the town, and I feel like his character is a real strength to that movie.
Right.
I don't know if you could do the town movie without Renner.
Probably not.
Though it would be interesting to see John Hamm trying to track him down again. Because another thing is Pete Postlethwaite's a big part of that movie too, and not only is he and his character are both dead, so
Yes, that's kind of a problem.
so yeah, it really lost its antagonists, which really made that story.
So Spencer also mentions Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Enough Said is great. Keep an eye out for her this year.
I don't know that I've rewatched enough. I own it, but I don't know if I've rewatched it since the theater. That's crazy. That movie's 10 years old this year. I should probably do that. I keep saying I do occasional mini marathons of directors. I should probably do that with Hall of Center. That'd be a really good lineup.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun one. Spencer asks, favorite use of guilt as a theme in a movie?
Well, we had a good conversation about that yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Top answer for me is Insomnia, the Nolan version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the few movies where I'll call out that I think the remake was superior to the original. I told that to Paul Dooley to his face, and he looked surprised.
Nice. I Am Legend is up there.
Yeah.
I'm reading IMDb, and the top answer here is interesting. It's Shutter Island.
I guess I don't know how much I read that as guilt, because she really just snapped.
I mean, American History X is up here too.
That's a good answer.
That's a great answer, and I feel like that's what I'm going to stick with. Open Range, Mulholland Drive, Bruges,
Mulholland Drive's a good one.
Fury Road, both versions of Old Boy, Schindler's List, A Separation, Born, Million Dollar Baby.
Bruges is a great answer too.
I like Bruges as an answer too.
That's what's driving Farrell's whole performance. What was that?
Did somebody say fucking Bruges? Inanimate fucking object.
Love that movie. Favorite Cyrano adaptation?
I am not kidding when I say Roxanne.
That's the correct answer.
Another good guilt performance is Millicent Simmons in A Quiet Place.
Not necessarily surprised you would go with that, but you're not wrong.
The theatre adaptation from like a couple of years back, which did get streamed, I think, internationally via the National Theatre Live stuff. where they just implied that Cyrano had a big nose, and it was all sort of like poetry slam, sort of rapping, sort of expressing the love rather than just like fancy letters and whatever. And the way that was conveyed over, I felt more resonance with rather than anything where they've just played on the fact, oh, he definitely has a big nose. Or in the case of, Joe Wright's one, it's Peter Dinklage.
That sounds wild. I'm very fascinated by that.
I'm very interested in this because I'm reading, thanks Wikipedia, derivative versions of the Cyrano story, and one of them is listed, and I see it, but it's a very interesting take. Well, Roxanne's obviously listed, and a bunch of other things, but the thing that jumps out at me is Megamind.
I don't have a crystal clear memory of Megamind. Some people got really mad about that verse as I did because for some reason at some point Megamind became the second coming, and I don't know when that happened, but
Yeah.
it did. As I was like, I prefer Despicable Me, and people didn't take to that very well.
Yeah, I remember how big Megamind was when it first came out too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it was big for in the way that a kids movie is usually big, but then I thought it just kind of came and went. It came and went out of my mind. But yeah, somewhere it got like it's considered like a big fucking deal now.
Huh, interesting.
Maybe that's a we're old thing.
Probably. Like if you played a game yesterday and you watched Movie Club, you would see that it looked like I was dying halfway through the show. I was just tired. I was watching myself on camera, and I flipped back, and I ended up flipping through the video a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, look like I'm like falling asleep while I'm watching while I'm doing the show. I was exhausted.
Yeah, by the way, I hope there's no confusion. When I signed on to YouTube today,
Mm.
and yesterday's video popped up, and it still had the Great White Hype thumbnail. It's like that's something's off here.
That's the first thing I saw was the Great White Hype thumbnail too. Thoughts on the Three Faces of Eve? Found it in a bargain bin for $5.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where it's a very impressive performance, but it's one of those ones that's like because of the subject matter, it's almost I don't know how to put this.
All right.
When something is predictably impressive, where it's like when you're watching a performance and instead of being blown away, your response is, well, yeah, of course she won an Oscar for this. Obviously. But it doesn't really go beyond that. I need to see it. I've only seen it once, and that was a long time ago. But I would like to revisit. That's another one where I own it, but I've somehow never revisited it. It's on the shelf next to 300. That's
God.
I mean, alphabetically it makes sense, but it's between 300 and 3 Days of the Condor.
Ashley, do you have an answer?
Question again? Or just
Thoughts on the Three Faces of Eve?
haven't seen that one.
Okay. Think people overhate on Scream 3. I have no problem with it. There has yet to be a bad Scream movie or series. I love the MTV show. I'm a Scream guy, and I always will be. It took a minute to get used to Brandon James, but the TV series was fine. Other than the fact that, personally, I have an issue with it because it ruined the chances of us getting the house at the event, but that's a story for another time. Thanks, Weinsteins. Needless to say, there's a time I've said this on here, and this is one of those questions that would pop up on May 1st. I've mentioned numerous times that one day I always wanted to just walk up to Harvey Weinstein and kick him in the nuts and just leave. No response, no words, nothing. Just kick him right in the nuts. I can't do that now because someone else is doing it for him in prison. So we're good on that. Good things happen to good.
I have nothing left to say after Scream 3 because me and my brother obviously did that 4.5 hour video on the first 5 movies, and
Yes.
we talked about each movie for like almost an hour.
Did you talk? Speaking of that, did you talk about? Did you what? I mean, obviously you didn't talk. You talked about the movies. Did you have any like venture into the television series at all?
I don't give a fuck about the TV series, honestly. Not even a slight, tiny little bit. The thing I was gonna say about Scream 3 that's very interesting is it's known for being dumber than the others.
That's fair.
It's got that Carrie Fisher cameo. It's got the Jay and Silent Bob cameos.
Yes.
A lot of comedy in it. That obviously the Scream movies always have comedy in them, but not really. Like they took the meta stuff too far. But that's interesting because Scream 3, and this is in the video as well. Scream 3 has the only scene in any Scream movie that I have to look away from, not because of gore, but because it's that fucking creepy. When I see this scene, it takes me weeks to shake it off because it creeps me out so much. And the fact that that scene is in the dumbest Scream movie is very interesting. Obviously, it's the scene where Sydney has the nightmare about her mom.
Yeah, of course.
And she comes up to the phone. I cannot be near windows for weeks if I see that scene. So I literally just don't watch it anymore. I just look away from it as if it's a gory scene.
Yeah, I agree 100%. At this rate, Spencer, I've never seen a bad Scream movie or Scream adaptation. I don't dislike the TV series other than the fact that I know what it did. You know what it did too.
Apparently,
somebody, you know.
Apparently, recently it got popular to hate on 5.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know where that's coming from because I think 5 is one of the strongest. I think at the same time, a lot of Scream fans think 4 is one of the strongest movies, and I'm leaning more towards lately that 4 is one of the weakest.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just not on the same page as most Scream fans, except for I'm sure we all agree the first one is king.
And being able to see it in the theater in multiple decades was nice. So I'm thinking, I have a feeling since I got to see 2 this past year, I'm probably going to end up seeing theatrical versions of 3, 4, and then watch 5 again. And then obviously by that time, we're going to be into the 6 and 7 territories where they're be getting re-released and released in those, which I'm looking for.
And yes, I did bring this up recently, but just to reiterate, since I kind of insulted 4 there a little bit, regardless of what I say about 4, Hayden Panettiere will always be nomination worthy in Scream 4 to me.
Absolutely.
Dead serious.
So we move on from, weirdly enough, from something that I love to something that AJ loves. I wonder if Emily Blunt wants to direct. I think she'd be a great nuanced director that could tell a wonderful story.
She would be a phenomenal director, but I would guarantee she doesn't want to.
Interesting.
I just feel like that's something that she would the thing about it is she probably wrongly thinks that she wouldn't be good at it. But she definitely would be. The way we've seen her take control of her characters and the way she's so involved in the stories of her movies. Yeah, I think she was born to direct, but I'd honestly be very surprised if we ever see it, sadly.
Mm. All right. Makes sense. So, this is a very random question, which I'm curious about this one because we've not really. There's a versus that exists, which I'm pretty sure this is where Spencer got the question idea. Favorite scene in Private Parts?
Oh my god, there's so many. Probably. Well, I gotta say the Jenna Jameson scene's really good. uh, the very first one that comes to mind is the match game scene.
Match game is my answer for
Yeah,
sure.
I'd probably say that one as well.
But also any of the Giamatti scenes, any of them.
Teaching
Like
Howard NBC is always fun to me.
yeah, and I want to say it's after the match game because I think it's the scene where he fires Robin. I think
Mm-hmm.
when Giamatti bursts into the room and just says, "You goddamn motherfuckers."
Yeah.
I have felt that so many times in my life.
Same. 100%. Oh my god.
Don't you just want to burst into a room and say that sometimes?
Yes. On a daily basis.
God, that movie has so many great scenes in it, though. It's hard to pick one.
I love that movie greatly. I really do. And that's like what I realized that. I mean, that's what I realized the greatness of Paul Giamatti too. Even more so than I already did.
And I hope everybody that's ever watched it has stuck around for his little post credits.
The jackhammer noises at the end.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my god. Thoughts on the House of Sound? Take a shot. Thoughts on House of Sand and Fog?
Oh my god, bleak as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's excellent. It's very very fucking good.
Yeah,
But it's
the fate of Kingsley's character is like, jeez.
yeah, it's hard to watch more than once, but I think I've only seen it once, but I do want to see it again, but I'm hesitant because it's so fucking bleak.
Part of to me, even though it wasn't exactly the same, Slevin desensitized me because it was something basically similar
Oh yeah,
in Slevin.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Nice.
Both cases very accepting of the fate.
Yeah.
All right, we've been kind of like teetering about talking about this, and we talked about that we're going to discuss it today, and we're already oh god, we're already almost 2 hours into the show, so I know this is going to be a very poignant conversation. Thoughts on the movie critic?
Well, for starters, if the rumors are true that it's about Pauline Kael,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, I actually do not know much about her. I know about her from when Ebert has referenced her, and
Right.
when Tarantino has referenced her, and the scene in I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Right.
That's about all I know. And I know a lot of people. Tarantino mentions a couple of times in his book that the way I talk about Ebert, where reading his thoughts on movies shaped how I write them. How that was basically Pauline Kael for him. So
Yeah, of
I
course.
could really be. I went to Amazon to look up some of her books, and they're a little on the pricey side, but I do in preparation. I definitely want to do like a big deep dive on her, even though I don't think it's been confirmed. It's about her. It just seems very likely.
It's the huge rumor going around, and based on the fact that the movie takes place in the 1970s and it has a female
Yeah.
lead, that seems to make the most sense.
Yeah, if it's basically, I feel like it would be the closest we'd get of what would essentially be a movie adaptation of cinema speculation, which has me the thought of that has me erect. I'm like, like this is
Same.
What was that comment Drew Carey made once? If I was standing, this should be canceled.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a dude I filled the cup moment.
But yeah, I mean, whatever. But that's the thing, though, is we've talked before about how, oh God, is it his last movie? What are we gonna do without a Tarantino movie? But after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Cinema Speculation, this whole idea of him just sticking to writing, I can very easily see myself being just as excited for one of his books as I was one of his movies. And that's a really high bar, but to be to basically spend the rest of his career educating on movies, because it's almost like what Tarantino movies have been up to this point is Tarantino saying, hey, this is what all these obscure movies you've never heard of have taught me, and for him to finally bestow that knowledge onto us formally is so fucking exciting. So just in whatever he's about to do, whether it be this last, like, because like I said, now that I know what his books are going to be like, the if this is his last movie, it feels bittersweet now. If I didn't know what we were getting afterwards, if I didn't have a taste of his books, I'd be panicking right now that this would be his last movie. But I'm just in the fact that what his books are with Hollywood history, that's going to be the territory that he's in for this movie.
Mhm.
I'm ecstatic. Like, I could not be more pleased right now that this is where we are.
I feel that it's going to be wonderful to be able to watch a marathon down the line, just like nature intended, of all the Tarantino films theatrically, which some of us have done, some of us haven't. But I'm hoping for
the
another opportunity down the line.
the only Tarantino movies I have not seen in a theater are Jackie Brown and Kill Bill 1.
I have seen Kill Bill 1, but I have not seen Jackie Brown theatrically. Matter of fact, I have a smaller list because I haven't been fortunate enough to do Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction like you have.
Yes. I love that they did them like a day apart too, which was really cool. Because
So
it was for the 30th anniversary, no, the 20th anniversary of Reservoir Dogs. And instead of doing that for Pulp Fiction 2 years later, they just played Pulp Fiction like 2 days later, and that was cool.
I think it's something that I could see happening because I noticed the Fathom events sometimes make sense, and then there's Casablanca, which is every year. So no matter what they're trying to celebrate, it's cheap and it's free. Let's go. I honestly think that some dude just lives out in City Walk and like has a reel to reel copy of it and just like, hey, I can convert this digital and let's go. But still, I'm hoping that I get a chance to get theatrical viewings of the other Tarantino films someday down the line. I feel I will, 100%, especially when the movie critic comes out. Um, Brian asked, all right, choose the next tech category in the decade. I want it to be random. Instead of going with editing, I want to give each category a turn. Decade doesn't matter.
I was looking into that. 1970s production design.
Okay. Brian, you heard him. Oh, God, I don't want to like go. Well, I guess I will because that way, I mean, we still have plenty of questions. My friend Tim asked, what's your top 5 good movies and your top 5 bad movies?
Is that like is that just like 5 favorite movies and 5 worst movies, or
That's what it seems like.
well, obviously my when we did our all-time movie list, and honestly for a very long time now, my top 5 has been the same.
Right?
Which 1 to 5 is Pulp Fiction, The Wizard of Oz, Full Metal Jacket, The Departed, and Edward Scissorhands.
That's good.
Five worst would take a minute.
It's tough. Like all the Kevin Smith. I mean, pretty much a lot of stuff I brought to Movie Club and will bring to Movie Club in the future. You've got all the Smith movies. You have all the Guest movies. You have all the Batman movies. You have Scream. You have Moulin Rouge, Clerks, Mallrats.
I have seen so much bottom of the barrel shit at this point. I honestly don't even know if I could tell you what the worst movie I've ever seen is.
There's The Core.
Yeah, it's because what's probably going to be the worst movie of all time is something that's not just of low quality, but something that's really boring. Because boring is the worst thing you can be.
Yeah.
Because
I hate, so.
Because there's a lot of absolutely shit movies that are ambitious.
Yeah.
But for something, it would just be have to be like the most pointless, worthless waste of time. To the point to where even the people making it probably felt like it was a waste of time. Something like that would be the worst movie ever.
It's tough. I mean, most of mine just kind of like goes to like the last like 10, 15 years. What would you remake if you could, AJ, as a director?
I used to have an answer for this, but don't have that answer now. I always said I wanted to remake Strangers on a Train with Spacey as Bruno.
Yep.
But not these days. And it wouldn't be a Hitchcock movie. So I've grown up to the fact that that's not a good idea. That's not just a dig at Gus Van Sant. That's just in general. Just there's no reason to.
Mm-hmm.
I think this question came up once before because I think I talked about the one idea I always kind of wanted to pursue, which was writing scripts as just kind of an exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But writing modern movies, if they were made in like the 30s or 40s, I feel like would be really fun.
Okay.
And like taking 30s and 40s technology into account and what it would look like aesthetically and who would be in the roles and stuff like that.
Thoughts on I Saw What You Did?
I blind bought that. I can see it from where I'm sitting. It's not, the eyes are right here, but it's actually over there because it's that new. I have not watched it yet. I was going to last October and I ran out of time. So I'm probably just waiting for October to come back around.
Fair.
That's why I haven't put it away yet.
Favorite parts of Ford versus Ferrari?
Oh my. I think my favorite scene is the one where Tracy Letts cries. Where Damon takes him for a spin, but God, that movie is 2.5 hours of one great scene after another.
Yeah, most definitely.
I love the scene where Katrina Balfe gets pissed off about Bale not telling her what's going on, and she's like, he's the one telling her to slow down is a great scene. The scene with Bale and Noah Jupe on the runway is a phenomenal scene. Obviously any of the race scenes are amazing.
Yeah, I would have to defer to those, not deter. Take a shot.
And that's the thing too, is as like for a movie that's as long as it is, you would wonder how much it actually focuses on the sport actually happening. There's so much racing in Ford versus Ferrari,
Oh yeah.
and it's great. I was talking specifically about the scene where Tracy Letts cries. It's that whole scene where they lock Josh Lucas in the office and he takes Tracy Letts out. The whole scene. The scene where they break for a lot of Tracy Letts scenes. The one where they say like, "You're not Henry Ford, you're Henry Ford the second," and you can tell how fucking deep it cuts. That movie's so fucking good.
It is. Like how we can just transition from Ford versus Ferrari to Joseph von Sternberg. Because that's the next question. Your favorite one of his films?
I mean, it's probably Shanghai Express or Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that stand out the most visually, at least.
Sure.
Probably Shanghai Express for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have much to add to that, but
All right, fair point. Josie chimes in. We're now made 6 o'clock. Hey, Popcast team. First time watches since last. Sweet Talker from 91. Twice Upon a Time. Sure Thing from 85. Funny Things Happen Down Under from 65. Secret of the Incas from 54. 10 Canoes and The Castle from 1997. Funny Things Happen Down Under. Go ahead, AJ.
The Sure Thing. I'm assuming that's the Rob Reiner John Cusack movie.
85.
That movie is hilarious.
Funny Things Happen Down Under. A group of Aussie children discovering a way to create rainbow-colored goats for wool, hoping to make money for their clubhouse. It was Olivia Newton-John's first movie.
That sounds fun. I'll have to check that out.
Sweet Talker is a romantic comedy starring Brian Brown and Karen Allen.
Interesting.
And Spencer asks, in the midst of the Josie conversation, worst movie title for a good movie?
My go-to answer is Only the Brave. It's such a bland, cheesy ass title. You would not suspect how fucking powerful that movie is based on that title. You know what it sounds like? Only the Brave sounds like it'd be a fucking faith-based movie.
It does. Big George Foreman coming to theaters soon.
No, it is so much higher quality than that. Like unfathomably far away from that.
Live, die, repeat. There's nothing wrong with Edge of Tomorrow.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think if I actually have an answer to this, but I don't think I do.
Isn't it? A lot of things. There's a little hypocrisy in this, because I was gonna say most movies that are just the something, but I am in the I've kind of slowly started working my way back towards a script I started like 5 years ago, and the title is The Something, but it's like it makes sense in context. Just trust me.
Yeah. Josie's talking about a sweet-talking con man turning his life around when he falls in love with Karen Allen and becomes a stepfather figure to her son. Available on Peacock, YouTube, Prime, Freevee, and Tubi.
I'm trying to imagine Brian Brown in like a romantic role. I don't know if I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen that before.
You can watch it on Tubi. Twice Upon a Time is an animated movie about two wannabe heroes and their friends who must stop a madman from giving everyone nightmares. The co-director Charles Swenson was a producer on Rugrats. David Fincher was 17 when he did the film's visual effects. He was responsible for some of the opening shots of the Merc Works. Spencer says hopelessly devoted to you with the eyes emoji, starry eyes emoji. Credit sequence features a photo of voice actor Lorenzo Music, notorious for not allowing himself to be seen in pictures.
Oh.
Henry Selick directed the sequence where the main characters Ralph and Mumford experience a nightmare.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Castle is a working class family from Melbourne, Australia, fighting City Hall after being told they must vacate their beloved family home to allow for infrastructural expansion. Loved it. Favorite Canadian movies or movies set in Canada?
I'm sure there's a basic answer to this.
I'm sure there is too. Movie set.
Geography wasn't my strong suit, so I have to.
Oh God.
What did you search exactly? I googled Canadian movies.
Movie set in Canada. Wow, I did not know that. And I didn't. That's not the first thing that came to my mind when I thought Canada.
What's that?
American Psycho.
Oh yeah, is it cheating to say the South Park movie?
I don't think so.
How much do we actually see in Canada? It's usually it's mostly Canadians coming here, I think, in South Park.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Juno is here.
That makes sense.
Juno is probably my answer because Juno has always been an all-timer for me.
I don't see that enlisted anywhere on the list that I'm seeing in front of me.
It's under Canadian comedies.
I just went to Wiki's film set in Canada. The Revenant.
Looking at some of these, and it's like, you know, Jack Frost, but then it says in Colorado. Like, when has Colorado been in Canada?
Brokeback, The Revenant. Strange Brew, of course. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna not throw that one out there. Meatballs is Canadian.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that doesn't make sense because Juno makes sense because Elliot Page and Michael Cera are both Canadian, so
we're absolutely correct. Not the last time we're going to talk about Elliot Page tonight. Actually, we'll get there soon enough. Well, maybe not soon enough.
Already come up.
It won. Josie continues. It won Best Original Screenplay at the Australian Film Institute Awards.
Which one is that?
I believe it was The Castle.
Oh, there's an obvious one, which we'll see how the we'll see how the remake does in. Well, I say remake; it's a series rather than a movie. But Dead Ringers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
In Toronto, so.
Also nominated for lead actor Michael Caton, supporting actor Charles Bud Tingwell, supporting actress Sophie Liet, also won Australian Movie of the Year at the Australian Movie Convention. Nice.
I did a focus group for the first episode of Dead Ringers.
Oh wow.
That was like a year ago. I forgot it existed until you said it just now. It's the one with Vice, right?
Yeah. Coming to Amazon Prime in a few weeks.
Wow.
I think.
Must have really taken their time on it.
Let me see what the date is. Yeah, April 21st, so a month from now. With Sean Durkin doing the pilot, or the first 2 pilot episodes. But it will be releasing as a set of 6.
Wow, your timing's impeccable because this question makes sense given what you just said. Movie characters you're most similar to in real life. Spencer says Billy Forrester from How to Eat Fried Worms.
I felt. I don't know if this is what you were referring to when you said that, but I did I think one of the things that connected me to Juno, apart from the whole, getting somebody pregnant thing,
It's the thing Josie brought up when we were talking about it last time.
Polly Bleeker I felt that dude.
I can think of a lot of characters off the top of my head.
Well, I know one of the things is that I am Randall Graves
Yes,
to your Dante.
you are absolutely correct. Would you still say Empire Records?
But it's impossible not to since it's literally my fucking name.
Accurate.
Johnny Whitworth, we are forever connected, dude. Yeah, at, le- at least at least that at least a certain period of my life. Yeah. Which is the same thing I was saying about Polly Bleeker too.
Yeah.
So,
Ashley, you have an answer to this? Because I can go. I'll go on for a minute.
Trying to remember what the character's name is. In most elements, but not all of them, Ed from Shaun of the Dead.
oh, I know it's a cliche answer, but I've also got a fucking Logan Lerman in Perks of Being a Wallflower. I know
Yeah.
so many fucking people feel like they're that character, but there's a reason that story's so universal.
The only reason
Like I
it
said,
made me
there's some really specific things about Charlie though that many of which I mentioned in the video I did. The video I did with Perks of Being a Wallflower and Juno was that verse.
the only reason I say Ed is because they were playing Time Splitters 2 all the time, and that was my game back in the day. I don't care if you've put on Player 2 as a game. It's like, no. I can tell from
God.
the graphics that that's Time Splitters 2.
Lots of things come to mind. I think probably the one that I have been, obviously, other than being Dante Hicks, pretty much my whole life when it comes to the Clerks movies. Literally and figuratively, I'm Pat Solitano Jr. I'm Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook, and always will.
Okay. I've known you for 20 years. That's a real number.
Yes, it is. That's a
I have
stretch.
known you not more, not less. I have known you for 20 years. A lot of what you're about to say is a stretch. I'm telling the people that right now. However, Pat Solitano is apart from his mental health issues,
Yeah.
is weirdly close to real life. Like really fucking weirdly close to real life.
In almost every way possible. I've always equated myself to Christian, Ewan McGregor, and Moulin Rouge. Paul Dano and Ruby Sparks. Joseph Gordon-Levitt in 500 Days of Summer.
This is answering so many questions because there have been so many times where Paul Dano comes up or Joseph Gordon-Levitt comes up, and you just call them in quotes me.
Yes.
And I'm assuming nobody knows what that means until now.
No. Lately, I don't know what it would be at this point, but I had a huge connection, Owen Wilson and Marry Me this past year, so that's another thing that comes to mind. I've always wanted to be Humphrey Bogart. I can see a lot of Casablanca for me, especially in the past, not now,
That
but
was
in the past.
when we saw
Orlando.
Casablanca in the theater when it was your first time seeing it. That period in particular
Hmm.
was when you were like, "Oh shit, this is like
Yeah.
relatable."
And speaking of relatable from the past, Orlando Bloom and Elizabethtown. Most of those are not stretches at all. Honestly, not really. Those are the ones I think I can equate the most.
I feel like there's one missing, but I can't think of what it is.
Mm. Ah, Glenn Hansard from Once.
Okay.
That's a fair one. That's a definite fair one.
Minus not to like bring you down, but I mean minus the being a brilliant musician.
Yeah. Brian says Charlie from Perks of Being a Wallflower, minus other aspects in the movie, because of having friends and being lonely. Brian also says Quasimodo for acceptance and Hunchback.
Yeah, I feel like
Just curious if you're still
Charlie
ahead.
feels like a very universal answer, and it's
Yeah.
for a reason. That's how well told that story is, and how accurate to life that story feels.
Yeah, I see a lot of myself in Licorice Pizza too. For another time as well.
I mean, we know my indifference to licorice pizza. That's why I made that face just now.
I know. And pretty much a mixture of Mark and Roger from Rent would be my last answer. But most of those are definitely not a stretch, not even close. Josie, if you're still around, other than obviously Julia Butters and the Fablemans, and you mentioned Juno before, except for the being pregnant thing, which your words, not mine. I'm curious what your answer is too, because we're getting that from the chat. If you're still with us, because I know we've gone long, but QA shows tend to do that when we have a lot of things to talk about. Speaking of that, your birthdays for the day: Spike Lee, Murray Bartlett, Holly Hunter, William Hurt, David Thewlis, Michael Rappaport, Christy Carlson Romano, and the late Carl Reiner. Love that story. I love telling the Carl Reiner story. I'm pretty sure I've told it on here before.
I think so.
My dad,
Yeah, we both pointed out that you can hear your laugh.
we can too, because it's very hard to miss me, especially on like some of the Bill and Ted videos from back in the day. I have favorite Holly Hunter performance, David Thewlis performance, and Carl Reiner film.
I don't want to go obvious with Thewlis. There's got to be.
Let's do Hunter first.
For me, Hunter's probably Raising Arizona. I know I should say The Piano or 13 or something, but I'm gonna be true to myself and say Raising Arizona.
Well, then I'm going to be true to myself and say Helen Parr.
This is incredible. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
I just want to make sure I cover all of Thulis's ground. I will say before we go into Thulis, I will say I've been talking a lot about stuff I've blind bought that I haven't watched yet. Yeah, Naked is one of those things.
Oh, wow.
I had every intention of seeing that. It's been recommended so many times, and I have it. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't yet.
I got to see if I have an answer to this.
An unconventional answer would be Anomalisa.
That was the one I was looking at as my answer. Yeah, Anomalisa is my answer for sure. Because we could go obvious, but I'm gonna go with Anomalisa.
I mean, I'm willing from what I've heard, I'm feeling like the answer is naked, but the trouble is that I can't say that yet unseen.
I'd say for me it was TV movie technically, but his Inspector Ghoul in Inspector Calls. It's up there with Sim, like as being really good.
Oh, speaking of that, he's filming The Artful Dodger.
Yeah, I don't know
And he is
what
playing.
this is. It's all it says is TV series. I'm trying to find out who's.
Who was the third person in the question?
The actual third person, favorite Carl Reiner film.
It's probably The Man with Two Brains, but let me just double check real quick. Summer School would be up there.
I'm gonna have to just defer to Alan Brady.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was just thinking movies he directed. Are we going with that, or like
the comment literally says favorite Carl Reiner film, so I'm gonna guess that could be either directing or it could be something he starred in. That's not what.
If I remember correctly, he's got cameos in like most, if not all, of his movies. Anyway,
Absolutely correct.
oh well.
I'm just gonna stick with Alan Brady.
As a dark comedy fan, The Gazebo was kind of fun, but I'll say Summer School actually, but Man with Two Brains is like close by.
Let's see. Oh Lord. Brian says I might also say for me Wreck-It Ralph. That's another person he identifies with. Ask if it's because of Mrs. Incredible touching her booty. And no, performance is just good. I enjoy the role.
No,
and I enjoyed Holly Hunter reprising her role for the Incredicoaster at California Adventure too.
When it's just Holly Hunter's voice, how distinguishable is she from Jodie Foster, really?
There's a little bit of there's a it's like the Vanilla Ice thing in the Dings. That's exactly what that reminds me of.
Because I know what made me notice this was every single time I try to do an impression of Clarice Starling, I realize I'm just doing Holly Hunter's voice.
That's great. Brian says he's seen Naked and has the Criterion Blu-ray.
The Artful Dodger is for Disney Plus.
That sounds very believable.
Are we? I missed that whole thing. Are we under the assumption this is like an Oliver adaptation and he's Fagin? Because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's listed as, yes.
Okay.
Supposed to. I think. I'm trying to get the thing up, but I keep getting adverts for other stuff. Thanks, IMDb.
Oh,
I
Lord.
want to see an advert for Dungeons and
Actually,
Dragons.
if we're getting another Oliver adaptation, I want to know who Bill Sykes is going to be.
Set in 1850s Australia, the series follows the adult double life of Charles Dickens' famous Prince of Dodger, who's now a surgeon, but can't shake his predilection for crime.
Oh, so we're probably post Bill Sykes' death then.
So yeah, Thomas Brody Sangster's playing Jack Dawkins, which I think is Dodger, right?
That would make a lot of sense.
And Fuelis is Fagin, and that's all we sort of really know.
Josie asks favorite scene in a movie where a window is broken. I think we asked this question a couple weeks ago.
Beavis and Butthead Do America, the opening scene. And so I just got distracted because Thomas Brody Sangster is like the perfect casting choice for the Artful Dodger, and I can't get over that now.
I'm gonna go with Fear. He is a dad you don't F with, 100%.
I know. I think I really like this movie, but it's so fucking overrated at this point. But just to keep people at ease, if we're gonna talk broken window scenes, let's go ahead and bring up The Nice Guys.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is basically in overrated territory now, and people every time they fucking bring it up are still trying to call it underrated.
No.
I fucking hate when movies get to this point.
No. Best glass breaking scenes in movies. Good Lord.
Oh my god. Oh, dude. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Charlie Wilson's War.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. Cannot forget.
There is no other answer.
Yeah, I'll give them that. Oh boy, we're kind of alluding to it already. Spencer asked, movie characters reminding you of bullies, friends, exes from your past or present.
Oh god, did we have to do this?
I'm not answering that question, Spencer.
Oh god. I'm trying to think of the safest. I want to answer this. I'm trying to think of the safest way to do it. Maybe I can.
Okay. I'll just well, obviously we talked about the fact that I'm Pat. There's obviously a Tiffany in life, so and that's all I'm gonna say. Claire Coburn from Elizabethtown. That's the same answer because I don't have to answer to that anymore, so we're good on that.
I didn't have bullies.
I did, but I have nobody that I can really equate them to in film.
I'm trying to think of like the closest thing I would have had to a bully, but I guess I got really fucking lucky.
I just didn't have anybody that was closely portraying them in movies. I guess that's where I saw it.
Okay, I will say I actually have a perfect answer for this question, but it's not quite the way he's asking, I don't think. There is a character that reminds me of somebody that gave me a hard time, and it still sticks with me for some reason. Like, I think about any time this comes up, but it was to give me a hard time, this kid would imitate a movie character.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
And so it's like, this character reminds me of that bully for that reason, but not the character himself.
That's
because I had my social anxiety problem and I didn't talk to anybody, which meant that I wouldn't really respond really to anybody. There was a kid in the lunch line for a long period of time that loved to. The first Rush Hour movie was popular.
Oh no.
So I got, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth screened in my face a few times.
Nice.
So that's the closest thing I can think of. And that was that one kid, and it was like, I don't know, it might have been more than one person, but it was, Rush Hour was popular at the time. But other than that, I can't really think of anything else. And the other side of that question is probably not safe enough to answer.
I think I was about as safe as I possibly could have been with that answer, and that's all I'm saying.
Not that I think anybody's gonna see these. There would be any of those people, But
Hey,
yeah,
words get back somehow, some way. That's why May 1st is dangerous, but not because we can choose to not answer things.
yeah.
Favorite scene in a movie where there's a hole created in either the wall or the floor? Josie says, "Mouse hunt. Look, you blew a hole in the floor." Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit's a good bet on this one. Literally comes right out of the Acme box. Toss it on the ground.
That mouse hunt scene where the floor explodes is so fun.
Not just mouse hunt, because Josie says favorite flashlight scene in a movie. Hang on there, Ernie. The flashlight's broken.
That's really. I'm gonna have to default to mouse hunt for the whole question because that's all I can think about now.
There's no other answers, apparently. I mean, I think about the Usher when I think about flashlights, but I mean, there's not really a definitive flashlight scene I can think of. Maybe E.T.
Yeah.
or Super 8, which is E.T. The verses exist, everyone. Check it out.
There is a movie. Fuck, what's it called? Late Shift, where it's a horror movie set in a police station.
Ooh.
There's a scare scene involving a flashlight that's really really well done. I think that's the name of it.
Spencer says Friday the 13th loves window gags, especially the second one. Mouse hunt trivia. Mousetrap scene done without any digital effects. Over 800 mousetraps set individually, they rid with wires under the floor. Took several takes, so each trap had to be reset, baited, and wired one at a time.
Oh god.
Spencer says the way back is excellent.
Yeah, I saw Nat Faxon in something today, and my first thought was, I need to see the way back again.
It was good. I like the fact that it's based out of a water park. That makes me happy.
Yeah, and the thing that's real, I know when it was out, Rockwell was getting a lot of love,
Yeah.
but every time I think of that movie, the first thing I think of is how good Steve Carell was in it. It playing
Oh, yeah.
somebody that you just want to fucking sock in the face. But yet he's definitely somebody you've met in real life. Maybe somebody you've dealt with in real life. Yeah.
Killer Joe. Anyway.
Wow, you knew exactly where I was going.
Boom! Exactly.
That's it. 20 years. That's where that 20 years is going.
Damn right. Thoughts on the Hot Flamin' Cheetos movie? That's a thing?
Is this like the time Chester Cheetah had a video game?
Oh god, that's true. I'm looking into this. Oh my god, they're actually. This is actually.
Is it like a social network kind of thing or?
Okay. It's called Flamin' Hot. It's directed by Eva Longoria.
Oh.
Danger, Will Robinson, Danger. Starring Tony Shalhoub, Dennis Haysbert, and Matt Walsh.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay, obviously none of them are the main character.
Oh.
The main character, I believe, is Jesse Garcia. Also has nobody else. Okay.
I'm not sure who that is. I might know their face.
Flamin' Hot is the story of Richard Montanez, the Frito-Lay janitor who channeled his Mexican-American heritage and upbringing to turn Flamin' Hot Cheetos into a snack, disrupting the food industry and became a global phenomenon.
I can see, Jesse Garcia was somewhere in Ambulance, apparently, from last year.
Oh, yeah, he was. He was the main guy in Ambulance.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Gyllenhaal were the main guys in Ambulance.
He was main. He was one of the heels in the movie. Maybe. I know he was in the movie because I noticed his name, but I don't remember where he was in Ambulance because that movie kind of just like.
The only other significant that I recognise is he was Freddy Gonzalez in the From Dusk Till Dawn series from a few years back.
Oh yeah, that's what the house was based on. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense actually. He's high credited, so that should tell you something. Maybe. I'm
not completely turned off by this movie. I'm kind of interested.
What the actual fuck is going on? Because we've got Eva Longoria's flaming hot about the guy that claimed to have invented hot Cheetos. We've got Seinfeld's battle between Post and Kellogg's for making the first Pop-Tart. Are we just...
That exciting.
Is this fucking food fight come real? We're just... Jeez.
So Sausage Party is real, and it's coming to haunt us. Tim asked an interesting question. If there were a black and white movie today, do you think it would stand out with the other films how things are today?
We are still getting black and white movies, but I'm assuming that's like a mainstream.
Yes.
I don't know. Audiences are getting dumber and more picky as we go.
I don't know. I think people like Schindler's List.
That's a weird thing to say right now.
Well, no, I'm just trying to think, because Artist isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, and obviously the foreign stuff like Eva and Cold War isn't going to be.
Well,
it probably needs to be like a mainstream director doing a black and white film.
Black and white superhero movie or black and white action movie. I think that might be the direction we're headed towards.
Action
with this.
Easy.
I don't know if it'd be very tricky to match the aesthetic of an action movie with black and white. I mean, unless it's like Sin City or something.
Yeah, that's probably your best example recently because we don't talk about the same.
But obviously, you're in the spirit. Obviously, Sin City's like really, really stylized. I assume he's talking like straightforward black and white.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And I don't know that you could do that kind of aesthetic with an action movie. It'd be like the action movie is the way we see it today. I don't know. That's like I'm struggling to imagine what that even looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have the I never saw the black and white version of Fury Road that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
That might help. If I had seen that, I would probably have a better perspective on this question.
Josie continues, in Mouse Hunt, when the mayor vomits and dies after eating the cockroach, the vomit was made of clam chowder. William, so random. William Hickey's character, Rudolph Smuntz, leaves his sons a half-smoked box of Cubans in his will. In Christmas Vacation, his character constantly smokes cigars.
Yeah, that's the reason he got set ablaze.
Exactly. It's a theory
the first time he got set ablaze twice.
It's a theory that the mouse is a reincarnation of Rudolph Smuntz, which is the dad.
I feel like that's heavily implied by the paintings we keep seeing.
And John Lithgow turned down the role due to scheduling conflicts from Third Rock.
Was he supposed to be Hickey's part, or
he would have played the character we were just referring to a minute ago?
He doesn't
Rudolph's
seem.
my
He wouldn't have been old. He wouldn't have been old enough. Because William Hickey looks fucking ancient in Malsons.
I haven't seen the movie in so long.
I do not think Lithgow is old enough to be Nathan Lane's dad. I don't think that can be right. I don't know how old Lee Evans is, but I feel like Nathan Lane would be older than him.
Possible. I think it's called that. I remember. I hope that's great because it's going to make me look good. Maybe. We'll see. Favorite digging scene in a movie?
Young Frankenstein is the first choice.
Fair.
I can bring up the model from Beetlejuice for the second time tonight, which is odd, but fitting.
Okay. I don't remember what it's called. You might have to help me with the title of the movie when we get there because it's coming up in a second. Favorite clubhouse or treehouse scene in a movie?
Well, the He-Man Woman Haters Club comes to mind immediately.
Yeah, that was the first thing that was coming to my mind too. The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or the Babysitter's Club or Now and Then.
I think the only place I really remember them hanging out in Now and Then was the attic.
I think that might be where I got confused.
Like in Now and Then, they just kind of bounce around. I don't think they have a specific place. They have like each girl has like their individual place, but they don't have like a group place as far as I remember. But it's been a long time since I saw it. But
Odd. Can't wait for this. It'll be great. All right. Favorite lightning scene strike in a movie?
you're thinking of Hound Dog. That's why you're laughing.
Not Mr. Perfect getting hit by lightning on the tractor. Yes, I am.
Oh,
Trying
my God. Okay. There's one scene in particular that people know about Hound Dog.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is that whole movie is fucking weird.
Yeah, it is.
That movie makes me feel gross all over, and not just for the obvious reason.
It's a messed up movie to say the least.
It's the toy store blowing up in Child's Play.
I mean, technically, Back to the Future comes to mind too.
Yeah, it's good. Back to the Future is probably the answer.
No, Hound Dog is the answer, 100%. Seeing a dude get hit by on a tractor is great, especially his cell. Watch that on YouTube if you haven't yet to watch it. Trust me.
By the way, we're awful people for finding it as funny as we do. But I mean,
it's hilarious. It's the worst game. We watched it numerous times. Different like I'd watch it for laughs and everything like that. It was great.
But I mean, but I think the reason I feel so guilty about it is because of the direction his character goes after that scene.
Yes.
I don't know. It's the whole thing's fucked.
Just keep telling yourself that. Favorite scene in a movie with a flashback of an embarrassing, humiliating moment in their life, like a bad school or childhood memory.
That is so specific. I feel like there must be a ton of answers.
Nothing's coming to mind.
Like that scene definitely exists, but none of the specific ones are coming to mind.
That scene sure does exist.
All I can think of is the embarrassing picture of SpongeBob at the Christmas party, and we don't even get to see that picture. One scene comes to mind, but it wouldn't be my answer.
Oh, I got a good one. Go ahead.
The scene that comes to mind that fits the category is the Grinch, but it wouldn't be my answer.
I say Billy Madison.
Just because it stood out of being animated like it was, the origin story of Owen and Ashley in Kill Bill 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What did you say, Owen?
I was Billy Madison when the little kid pees his pants, and Sandler puts water on his pants to look like so he could show solidarity with him.
Yeah, I think I lost what the question was. Because I know there were flashbacks were involved and embarrassing moments in like school were involved.
Sure.
And then both of your answers have me confused because I was like, yeah, Owen's backstory is a great one. Yeah, Billy Madison has that great embarrassing scene, but I lost what the question was.
God.
When Kill Bill 1 and Billy Madison are both the answer, I'm confused what the question is.
They're both correct answers in one way or another. Favorite grilling or barbecue scene in a movie? My pick isn't exactly a barbecue scene, but I love that part in Baby's Day Out when the baby lights Joe Montana's privates on fire.
That's technically a barbecue scene.
Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
Not a good scene, but it's correct.
Where the movie has to remind us that it's true because it's so fucked up.
Yeah. Another movie and too many people skipped out on.
It just pisses me off every time I think about Pain and Gain, thinking about what Dwayne's career could be right now. Dwayne's career, his movie career, could be so weird and wild right now. And he's trying to stay as safe as possible. And his Pain and Gain performance is incredible and so fucking unhinged in a way you would never suspect if you only knew him by the movies he makes now.
And Be Cool as well.
Yeah.
You could see a little bit more of his personality in Be Cool, though.
Yeah, where it's like he's kind of going. Man, I love that Pain and Gain performance.
I do too.
And that's the thing too. It's like he's capable of it. He's intentionally not doing it, and that pisses me off.
That is fair.
I mean,
God.
Yes, I will take another Jungle Cruise, of course, but I want a lot more Pain and Gains from Dwayne, and I know he doesn't want to do them, but fuck, he's sitting on a gold mine of greatness.
Brian says, "Save the clock tower." Welcome, Parsnip Burger. At first, I thought that was Collateral Beauty. I was going to ask who would want to review that.
In the poll.
Well, like I said at the beginning, Parsnip Burger does not want to pick it anyway. Even though it's not Collateral Beauty, he's still gonna not want it.
Fried green tomatoes for barbecue, secrets in the sauce.
Oh, I completely strayed away from the barbecue question. I forgot it was here.
Obviously, Fast and Furious is on that lineup. That's where we got talking about Pain and Gain. This is a tough one. Which program from Stay Tuned do you want to see made into an actual movie? Yes, I
don't
did
know.
company quite a bit, actually. I think all of us did.
I don't know because I'm actually not. I haven't seen Stay Tuned a lot. I've seen Stay Tuned maybe 2 or 3 times, and those were very far apart. But as far as like a barbecue scene goes, if it counts, because the whole point is that he's not really barbecuing anything, is the cousin Eddie scene in the first Vacation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know why they call this stuff Hamburger Helper. It does just fine by itself.
I really like Stay Tuned a lot, but I don't really think I have an answer here. Maybe Dwayne's Underworld, but
That's the only one off the top of my head.
That weird Three's Company like reunion, that's pretty awesome. I enjoyed that. And of course, we got to talk about the king of all heels himself, Jeffrey Jones. So we talked about him a lot on this network in 10 years. We really have. Yeah, you're right, AJ. I love your reviews, but I didn't pick it.
Yeah. It's okay. I was counting on that.
Josie mentions islands you'd want to visit. It's either or. Gilligan's Island or the island. What? Oh, the island or. Oh, it's a three-way dance. Or Treasure Island.
Gilligan's Island, Treasure Island, and what?
The Island. The Ewan McGregor movie. The one that I got paid to watch while I cleaned seats in the theater.
None of those were really that. None of those are really that appealing, especially since the island has the Michael Bay Island has such sinister things going on.
I would say Gilligan's Island is probably the safest out of that list.
I was gonna say Treasure Island because Gilligan's Island just looks like a fucking set. So
that might be the point. We have to find the Truman Show. Skull Island or Isla Nublar?
I'm not fucking going anywhere near Skull Island. Jesus Christ. Are you
so
insane?
I gotta deal with giant like creatures, or I have to deal with giant dinosaurs. I can't win either way.
Well, Skull Island's got everything on it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not gonna. What even was the? I was so distracted by how fucking scary Skull Island is. I didn't even hear the other one.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World in control or out of control?
Doesn't say. So I would say in control, which means I just live in the theme park. Until craziness happened, then I'd run.
Yeah. It depends on if whatever happens there becomes a movie or not, because I'd rather be in an out of control Jurassic Park for real than be in a Jurassic World movie.
That's fair. Castaway or Nim's Island?
Probably Nim's Island.
Nim's
Island. I believe Nim's Island is habitable by comparison.
Yeah. The Island in Triangle of Sadness or the Island in Lost?
Are we in spoiler territory yet?
I have a feeling, Brian, have you seen Triangle of Sadness yet?
I don't know anything about Lost, but but for obvious reasons, I'm going to say the island on Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, we'll go with. All right, cool. I think I got to that. Who would you rather have perform at your wedding? Robbie Hart, Chanticleer from Rockadoodle, or Wonka and the Oompa Loompas?
Robbie.
Robbie Hart, of course. Absolutely. Who'd win in a battle of the bands, the Hobbits or the Leprechauns from Darby O'Gill?
I feel like I need. I definitely need to rewatch Darby O'Gill to get caught up on half of Josie's questions.
You're not wrong. I think Ashley just give up on life right now. So,
I mean, part of these islands, like I don't know what to go with. Also, I'm trying to like check on other stuff to make sure it's working. I'm just
Dude, it's
paranoid.
it's been 3 hours. We need to like try to get things through faster. Who'd win in a bar fight? Darby O'Gill and the Little People, or the Banshees of Inisherin?
Dude, we don't see the only person we really well.
No, we're talking about literally Farrell and Gleason as a team.
Because I mean, apart from Colum hitting Dominic's dad, we don't really see what they're like as fighters. Though we probably don't see that in Darby O'Gill either, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. Apparently, we need to watch this movie.
Because my memory of it is so vague. I remember the fucking scary green thing.
Sounds like a technical term to me.
And obviously Connery was there.
Favorite scene? Go ahead. I don't want to.
I'll watch it again soon, and we can
revisit the Darby O'Gill chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't do his marathon yet. Parson and Burger says I'll pick something else since I binge watched Outer Banks this weekend on Netflix. I'd pick that for Island. Such a great guilty pleasure. Talked to Christy Lemire this morning. She and Alonzo do the Patreon thing. We can have a lunch date with them. It was super fun. She writes for Ebert and used to be on What the Flick.
I had a big crush on her when they did What the Flick.
Fair. We move on to favorite scene in a movie where someone thinks they're dead, but they are actually not. The Stupids, when they go to the planetarium, is the answer for Josie.
Where it's not somebody else thinks they're dead, it's they think they're dead.
They think they're dead, but they're actually not. I do not have an answer to this. We're at the point of the show which I don't have answers to things.
It's another one of those things where it's so specific, there's a ton of examples, but I don't know what they are now.
Sorry, Josie.
The scene that keeps popping into my head is when at the end of Bruce Almighty, when he gets hit by the truck, and Freeman says like, "I'm just messing with you."
Okay, I guess I could say Groundhog Day.
I almost feel yeah, okay.
It's a cop-out answer, but I feel that it's possible.
I was like, because there were a time it was, but.
Parsnip Burger says, AJ, add any movie with Will Smith to the list of Tom Cruise movies I wouldn't enjoy.
I cannot imagine. I mean, by the way, for both of them I understand, but for me personally, I cannot imagine not watching Tom Cruise or Will Smith movies ever. It's
definitely not.
If a life without Independence Day for me is a life not being lived.
Parsnip Burger says she turned 50 over the summer, participated in her first marathon. She's going skiing this weekend, so she still got it. Trying to get my pacing back I've been running a mile every day this month, so I'm going to continue that, try to get back to where I was before I got sick.
Oh my God. I had to Google that to make sure that's even true. She's a hot 50.
Jesus. And the part of Brian for the podcast today will be played by AJ.
I mean, there's a lot of people that make 50 hot, but I would have never guessed that was her age already.
I've never been. This sounds horrible, and I really do not care. I've never been big on. I can't say older ladies, but I would say that there's kind of a benchmark for me, and it's not too high.
I had a
legality is involved 100%. I'm not that crazy, but
my going only for older women made being 15 very hard. By the way, you'll notice how I said that I have a fucked up relationship with Notes on a Scandal.
Yes.
Do the math.
Yes, you freaking do. The Stupids is based on a children's book series of the same name by Harry Allard and James Marshall. The scene where Tom Arnold and the daughter think they've died, a reference to the book The Stupids Die, where the entire family experiences a blackout and they think they've died.
I remember that book vividly.
During filming, Tom Arnold became so exasperated with the script, he asked John Landis, "Is this supposed to be funny?" Both Tim Allen and Jack Nicholson were considered for Stanley Stupid.
I've always the Stupid starring Nicholson would have been crazy.
God. You do know.
I really want to see that in an alternate universe.
Do know Tom's newest film that apparently is out either I mean, it has to be out digitally because it wouldn't get a cinema release. Tom Arnold is in Ape versus Mecha Ape. It's apparently releasing
I was wondering
this weekend.
One of those Sci-Fi Channel's versus movies. You've answered my question.
It's just them basically doing Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, but they don't have the rights to anything. I mean, they've already done Ape versus Monster, so yeah. I'm guessing this is it's that production company that I can't think of.
This is
since we're 3 hours in. Remind me at another time to go on a rant in defense of Tom Arnold as an actor, because I've got one.
Arnold as an actor, I will not deny that one. I love Carpool. That movie's great.
Yeah, I'm right. It's an asylum film.
Carpool, True Lies, so many great things. You like Judi Dench? Parsnip Burger asked.
I seldom love her, but yeah.
I don't know if he's referring to like Judi Dench or like Judi Dench. Since we're having this 50 conversation.
Oh yeah, I guess that could go both ways because we were talking about the older woman thing.
Yes.
Well, in that regard, no, because I have said many times, she reminds me of my late grandmother. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can see that, honestly.
As far as an actress, I feel like I've only really loved her in Philomena.
Oh no.
And what?
Oh, my phone's about to die in a minute.
I've only loved her as in Philomena, and her M is obviously great. Every other time it's just been like, yeah, this is a solid Judi Dench performance. Her Lady Macbeth was really fucking good against Ian McKellen's Macbeth.
I hate when he gets to this point of the show where I have to hold the phone. Hi.
You look like you're at the start of a really shitty found footage movie.
Like, comment, subscribe, bro. Anyway, I love Notes on a Scandal so much. Says Parsnip Burger. Originally intended to be released by Savoy Pictures, going out of business in 1995, the distribution rights were subsequently picked up by New Line for The Stupids.
We're still on The Stupids?
Yes. Which train would win in a race? Thomas, the little engine that could, the Darjeeling Limited, the Orient Express, Bullet Train, the Polar Express, the train and throw mama from the train, or the train and the General. Snowpiercer's on this list?
Wait, was that question what wins in a race?
Yes.
How is the answer not Bullet Train?
What about Snowpiercer? It is a shoot bullet train.
The whole function of a bullet train.
God dang it. Favorite, we're moving on. Favorite book you guys read for school?
I don't think I got far enough in school to where we were reading entire books,
Hmm.
but we read like The Telltale Heart, and we got to Shakespeare.
Lucky.
Uh, so
Ashley, you have an answer for this?
Probably Catcher in the Rye.
Yes. I'm gonna go with the Odyssey.
I it wasn't like for a class, but in the school library is where I first checked out One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I never really got into the book gimmicks back when I was in school. That we really didn't focus on books that often. We watched movies, but that was about it.
I'm glad I dropped out of school before we got to Gatsby, because if I were to review Gatsby's book right now, um, it's negative.
I was reading a lot back then. We didn't read for school though. A lot of Beverly Quimby was something, and Judy Blume is what I read when I was growing up, and Paddington, of course. So Parsnip Burger says, "Yes, I want to know about Notes on a Scandal. I am thinking of 10-year anniversary questions, but AJ ruined my dench bent with that line of questioning." Fahrenheit 451 and Wuthering Heights. Parsnip Burger asks if you left school early, AJ.
In 10th grade, yeah.
Jeez. I think the rest of the panel just kind of muddled through until it was over. Thoughts on Mission to Mars? More Josie questions?
I have heard it's like it needs revisited, because when it was out and I saw it, it was just like some throwaway space movie.
Yes.
And it left like no impact, but I've heard that it like people really need to go back to it, so I do want to do that to see how much deeper it is than we realized. I do think I remember it having like the fact that it was contemplative in an almost 2001 way was something it was criticized for, because it was seen as like a shallow version of 2001 or something.
Sure.
But if that's like getting better over time, I'm very curious to go back to it, which I haven't done yet. So, yeah.
Okay. Mission to Mars trivia. Each of the spacesuits costs about 100 grand to make. Real NASA spacesuit costs between 10 and 12 million dollars. Many of the props are now in the queue for Mission Space at Epcot. Yep, very true. The original film was Gore Verbinski. Brian De Palma started to show interest when the budget was upgraded. Rewrites were also done. Came out as the same year as Red Planet in 2000. Both were unsuccessful critically and commercially.
Yeah, Red Planet fucking sucks.
That's how you really feel, AJ. I think we're good on that. Where are we? All right. So, oh God. Spencer asks, rank all the Rockies and Creed movies best to worst.
All together, or the Rockies together and the Creeds together?
It says, yeah, I'm guessing it's together in general.
Combined, yeah.
Yes, according to the question.
The top three are Rocky 1, Rocky Balboa,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky 2, and then it's either, I don't know, Rocky 3 is good too. The problem for me is that I feel like the first Creed and Creed 3 are on par with each other.
Mm.
I don't know. This is probably controversial. Maybe actually the first Creed is my least favorite Creed. Is that fucked up?
Well, I mean, I can't say anything about 2 because I never saw Creed 2.
Oh, damn. I'll say the Creeds in reverse order. God, I don't want to put Creed 1 so low, but that might just end up happening out of process of elimination. I will say Creed 3 and Creed 2, and then Rocky 3. I get the love for Rocky 4, even though it's 90% montages, 5% robot, and and then the rest is good. So
Right.
would it be? And I guess it ends with Rocky 4 and 5. I don't want it to. I don't want it to sound like I'm dismissive of Rocky 4 because I do. I'm not trying to sound above Rocky 4 because I'll watch Rocky 4.
Movies that capture spring.
Are you guys ranking Rocky?
I can't do it.
Um,
Ashley might be able to.
I'd put probably Rocky 5 and Creed 2 towards the back end, even though Creed 2 isn't a bad film. It's just like it needs to sort of go there. I'd probably put then Balboa, then 3, then 4, then Creed 3, Creed 1, and I'd probably go Rocky 2 and 1 to round it up. I think the start of that was, pretty good. That was all 9.
Rocky's the best. Balboa's 2. I go 3 next because of the obviousness. Then 2. Then maybe Creed. No. Maybe 4. Then 3, then 1 for Creed.
Yeah.
Because obviously the Thunder Lips being the heel in Rocky 3 is not lost on me at all. It never will be. So Josie said, with us heading into spring, I'll read the full question. Which movie captures the feeling of spring in your opinion? I have a weird answer to this, actually. I think. I don't like or care about sports at all. But when I think about spring, I think about baseball, and I think baseball movies. So I think my answer here would be A League of Their Own.
Okay. Aesthetically, for me, it's so hard to tell spring and summer apart.
My Girl's a good answer, too.
Yeah. I think My Girl's in the summer, though. Because she's in the writing class, but they're not going to, like, proper school, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, the only way I could tell you is movies like Juno, where they break up the seasons and they tell you what season it is.
500 Days of Summer, obviously, because that takes place pretty much during the whole year.
I mean, Spring Breakers would just be cheating.
Spring Breakers is the correct answer either way. I don't care. That movie's amazing.
Not to mention, Spring Breakers feels like a movie that's set in summer.
Yeah, it does.
That's another thing. Like I said, aesthetically they're indecipherable depending on how they're shown. Because like I said, I feel like your answer of My Girl is a good one, even though I'm pretty positive it's summer because they're not in school.
Hold on. Hold on. Doesn't really. Yeah. I can't really. Well, yeah. We'll go with that. I'm. Parson and Burger says, I hated Juno. I think Michael Cera was why.
Well, fuck you.
You know, like Big Red Gum, you know what you can do with your hat. 96 Oscar flashback. Okay. We're doing the Oscar flashback, and we're going to. Josie has it for if we want to give our thoughts and change the winners if we want. We ready?
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to go this into 4 hours, but it may end up happening. Original song, Colors of the Wind. Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Dead Man Walking, Moonlight, and You've Got a Friend in Me. I have heard You've Got a Friend in Me so many times in Voice of the Liberty throughout the years. It's not even funny, but it's the correct answer. I really enjoy Colors of the Wind, but You've Got a Friend in Me is the right answer here.
Yeah, Colors of the Wind is a good winner, but yeah. This damn category though is
I like this category the problem is sometimes the winners are not the right answer. We'll get there. Don't worry.
I think I also don't do well with this category because I'm being asked to judge music instead of movies, and that's not my field.
Luckily, with all the music reviewers I listen to on the regular and watch on the regular, it's kind of like, yeah, this is something I probably should have a stake in. And 9 times out of 10, I do. Ashley, do you have an answer to this? Or are you gonna pick a new?
I'd probably go with You Got a Friend in Me over Colors of the Wind.
Best musical or comedy score? Pocahontas won, beating The American President, Unstrung Heroes, Sabrina, and Toy Story. Yes.
Like I said, my mind does not retain scores unless they really, really stand out. So
I'd probably stick with it.
I'm gonna go with Toy Story because of the land in Hollywood Studios, I know that music so well. Dramatic. Yeah. Go ahead.
My gut was gonna say Sabrina, but I'd probably say Toy Story or Pocahontas anyway.
I mean, can't go wrong with John Williams, so it's not fine. It's fine. Dramatic score: The Postman, Braveheart, Sense and Sensibility, Apollo 13, and Nixon.
Nixon is intense, but I'm also wondering if I only remember Nixon's because I've watched Nixon recently.
I'd say Apollo 13 on that one.
Yeah, Apollo 13. So I'll either go James Horner one way or another because either Apollo 13 or Braveheart is the right answer. Makeup went to Braveheart. There's only 3. Roommates in My Family. That's an easy one. We just keep it how it was. Oh, Apollo 13 won editing, beating Braveheart, 7, Babe, and Crimson Tide. That's a tough one.
I mean, I would say 7.
I would say 7.
Yeah, on the editing front, that'd probably be a better choice.
VFX went to Babe over Apollo 13. Keep the answer or change it.
I really love Babe a lot, but That's pretty weird that happened over Apollo 13.
You got to remember how much people really went gaga for Babe back then, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing also is that I don't know how much those effects hold up in Babe because the mouth movements look really weird now.
Yeah. Caught sound editing, Braveheart over Batman Forever and Crimson Tide. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm probably going to have to go with Batman Forever on this one.
Probably, I'm not Crimson Tide's biggest fan, but sound wise, that might be the direction I go.
Ashley, yes, no, maybe so.
Stick with Braveheart.
Okay, costume design, restoration over Braveheart, Sense and Sensibility, 12 Monkeys, and Richard III.
The hell is restoration?
I don't know, but it also went art and set decoration too.
It's the period piece with Downey.
Oh God.
Speaking of Downey, is this Richard III we're talking about? The one with Ian McKellen, like the modernized version?
Yes.
Given the
With
fact
Downey,
the year
yeah.
I like the 12 Monkeys sticks out because it's not a period. I mean, it's a period piece in its own way, I guess, in the future. But I would say 12 Monkeys because it's more inspired than like here's more period piece costumes.
fair.
I'll probably say Richard III because it's like seeing Richard III in World War II sort of German style stuff is pretty good, and some of those costumes are pretty good.
I'll go with 12 Monkeys as well. Art and set decoration restoration over Apollo 13, Richard III, A Little Princess, and Babe.
Princess is definitely an option, but I'd probably go Apollo 13 again.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13 or Richard III, I would say.
Braveheart took cinematography over Batman Forever, Shanghai Triad, A Little Princess, and Sense and Sensibility.
Seems right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So that's probably
People-
right.
People hate on it. I don't know. I kind of love the cinematography nomination for Batman Forever. It's so out of left field.
Let's see. Light Colors of the Wind says Parsnip Burger. Savages is a better song, says Brian. Parsnip Burger says, don't remember these scores. I remember Pocahontas. One of the best scores of all time was 1990s Lord of the Flies. Love Nixon. Love Sense and Sensibility. Have them all on CD. 12 Monkeys is amazing. Have that CD as well.
Ow.
Nice. Adapted screenplay. Sense and Sensibility beating Babe, The Postman, Apollo 13, and Leaving Las Vegas.
I want to say Babe, so I'm gonna say it.
I'm going to say Leaving Las Vegas.
That's fair.
Emma did a good job on that screenplay.
Fair.
It's very rare
Yeah.
you get, like an actual like authentic adaptation rather than a lot of the stuff you're seeing now, which is updating it or modernizing it.
Oh, and if you're curious, the only reason why I am the picture of me with water parks and the not a picture right now is because I look really stupid holding my camera like this. So I'm just trying to charge my phone so I can take this home and actually be in camera for the last shot. Original screenplay: The Usual Suspects, Braveheart, Mighty Aphrodite, Nixon, and Toy Story.
The right one.
Yeah.
Usual Suspects. Josie says supporting was Mira Sorvino, beating Kate Winslet, Mare Winningham, Joan Allen, and Kathleen Quinlan.
I almost want to abstain because I have no recollection of Mighty Aphrodite. I've been meaning to rewatch it for years and I haven't yet.
I can abstain on this one too. Oh. Speaking of abstain, Best Supporting Actor.
This lineup is awesome, and I think I can say it off the top of my head.
Go ahead, because I'm sure you can.
Spacey won.
Yep.
There was Tim Roth.
Yep.
James Cromwell.
Yep.
Brad Pitt. Ed Harris.
You are also correct.
That's a phenomenal lineup. Holy fuck, that's a phenomenal lineup.
Not wrong.
I love every single one of those, but I'm really tempted to say Pitt, and I'm really tempted to say Roth, especially, but I'm gonna stick with Spacey.
I'm sticking with Spacey as well.
Close between him or Harris for me.
Fair. Mr. Selling Oranges by the Side of the Road in California does quite well in Apollo 13. Actress went to Susan Sarandon for Dead Man Walking, beating Emma Thompson, Sharon Stone, Elizabeth Shue, and Meryl Streep.
Stone's always weird to me because I feel like she's supporting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd probably say that's
Sarandon
about right.
seems right, but Shue is amazing.
It's between those two for me.
I think I might stick with Sarandon though.
Yeah. Speaking of Rocky Horror, we're going to go stick with that. Nick Cage, one actor, beating Troy Seafood Postman, Penn for Dead Man Walking, Hopkins for Nixon, and Dreyfuss for Mr. Holland's Opus.
I love Cage's win, but I gotta say Dreyfuss.
Overall in that lineup, yeah. Weird to say, but yeah, definitely. Okay, director went to Gibson, beating Michael Radford, Chris Noonan, Tim Robbins, Mike Figgis. Are you going to do what I think you're going to do?
I'm tempted to say Robbins.
Not what I was thinking you would do.
Were you thinking I was going Noonan?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's Noonan or Robbins for me. I can't quite decide.
Ashley, you have an answer?
I'd probably have it between Robbins and Figgis.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Robbins here. Braveheart won picture, beating Babe, The Postman, Apollo 13, and Sensibility.
I'd say Apollo 13. I find it weird that, like, both Braveheart and Apollo 13 didn't get anywhere near the leading actor or actress categories. Despite the fact they're prominently across the rest of the stuff.
Parsonburger says Nixon, Joan Allen deserved it. Mighty Aphrodite is Woody Allen. We should all abstain. Out with Spacey canceled. Nixon, by the way, was my pick for screenplay. Buy one, rent one, lose one.
Well, as far as picture, I'm having trouble deciding between Apollo 13 and Babe. And I don't want to sound anti Braveheart because I'm not picking it for anything, but it's just not. It's a movie that Braveheart's a movie I like. I'm just not passionate about it.
Sure. So trying to take this home, but we still have so much left. Well, actually, kind of. No, we don't. I see where we're going with this.
I'm gonna say Babe and call it. I think.
I'll say Apollo 13. Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, I'd stick with Apollo 13 rather than Braveheart.
Buy one, rent one, lose one. Vermont edition.
Hang on. Okay.
Oh, before we get started, real quick, I can knock these quick things out. I forgot to mention in the last QA show, Brian, Amore dropped on Hulu. I watched the movie properly. Also, 4 sequels to a couple of the 2010s Oscar-nominated movies: Gasland 2, Coringal, which is Restrepo's sequel, Sicario, Day of the Soldado, and Creed 2. And the first Criterion picks of the year: Leave Her to Heaven, Fugitive Kind, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which I see Josie watched the other day as well. I remember her talking about that. All right, ready?
Off to Vermont.
Yes. For Funny Farm, Dead Poet Society, What Lies Beneath, Super Troopers, Baby Boom, White Christmas, Wolf, The Survivors, Dayton, Maine, Man with a Plan, not the Brian Kittredge movie, and Hitchcock's The Trouble with Harry.
By Dead
I'm
Poets.
actually. What are we saying?
I can just whittle them out. Buy Dead Poet Society, rent Super Troopers, and ditch Baby Boo.
Yeah, I too was gonna act Baby Boo. I think that's actually probably what I'm gonna say, but I really love Wolf.
I'm going
You,
to.
you gotta balance the weight of Dead Poet Society with something like Super Troopers. So that's yeah, I'm saying what Ashley's saying.
I'm flipping them though. I'm buying Super Troopers and I'm renting Dead Poet Society. Because I mean, in this world, if I'm actually going to buy something, it's going to be something I'm going to watch over and over again. And Super Troopers is something I have and will watch over and over again. So 90 to 2010 would be the editing, is what I have listed on here.
Is this what we're ending on?
This is what we're ending on.
All right.
So as always, pick the category. Would you stick with or the winner, or would you like to select somebody else? 1990, Dances with Wolves, or Ghost, Godfather 3, Goodfellas, or The Hunt for Red October?
Goodfellas. That is probably going to be the easiest one we do.
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
I think, considering how much was in Dances with Wolves, it was more of a lack of editing there. Goodfellas is very tight and taut and good.
Yeah, I think that is definitely how a good Parsnip Burger concurs. We're all saying Goodfellas. 91, JFK, or The Commitments, Silence of the Lambs, T2 Judgment Day, or Thelma and Louise?
Silence of the Lambs and T2 being here makes this harder than it otherwise would be, but yeah, clearly they picked the right one with JFK.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs is a close, it's A-B for me.
Yeah. Silence of the Lambs would be maybe the alternative.
Oh, 1992. All right, we pick an Unforgiven, or Basic Instinct, A Few Good Men, The Player, or The Crying Game?
I'm tempted to say The Crying Game just based on the climax, but I think I'm leaning more towards The Player.
Player is my answer.
I'd probably go with that.
The
as well,
Unforgiven's a good winner too.
Yeah.
My God, a few good men's really appropriate too.
Ashley?
I'd probably say Player as well.
Parsons says Silence of the Lambs and The Crying Game. Sorry, I missed it yesterday.
Almost hard. That's a good lineup.
Yeah. Archives up, Parsnip Burger. No worries. Spencer Reed says The Player. Welcome back, Spencer. This is hoping everybody will still be with us. 1993, Schindler's List, or the six editors for The Fugitive, In the Line of Fire, In the Name of the Father, or The Piano.
I was getting ready to say The Fugitive, but I think I'm gonna have to say In the Line of Fire.
Yeah.
Toss up for me between Schindler's List or In the Name of the Father.
It's In the Line of Fire, Schindler's List for me, but it's In the Line of Fire. 1994. So, AJ, you're going to go with, you want to be obvious? I guess we're going to find out if you are or not. Would you stick with Forrest Gump or Hoop Dreams? Literally in these words, AJ's pick, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption or Speed.
Oh my! I fucking love that Speed is here.
I think we're good.
But yeah, I don't need to speak any further on this. It is
Pulp
it is
Fiction
known.
every day.
That's got
It is
credit,
known.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I love Bubba Gump and I love eating there, even though this bastard blocked me on Twitter for no reason. But and I still don't understand why.
It's still one of my favorite things ever, though.
It's that and me getting death threats for thinking Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man. Who's laughing now? Anyway, the answer is easily Pulp Fiction, but I love Forrest Gump. 1995.
We might as well gloss
Ashley,
that
did you
over because
pick?
we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1995 we've already talked about. 1996, The English Patient, Evita, Fargo, Jerry Maguire, or Shine. Fargo.
Jerry Maguire is a great option.
I still haven't seen it. Don't forget that.
And
Have in mind, Movie Club. There's verses, I think.
oh shit. What was between The English Patient and Fargo? Evita.
Yep.
Which is also a really good option for this.
It's a good lineup for the ones I've seen.
Okay. I feel like Jerry Maguire is a very sensible answer. I'm just trying to make sure I don't say Fargo just because it's Fargo. I'm really trying to think of the way it's put together. Man.
Actually, you have any?
I think-
I'd probably say Fargo.
Okay.
Oh shit, man. I'll say Fargo, but Jerry Maguire is really close.
Let's see. Parsnip Never Saw the Player. I love the piano so much. Pulp Fiction. Spencer Reed says Speed. Parsnip Burger says Fargo, but loves Shine. Spencer says Shine. Parsnip Burger says my epithet at Jerry Maguire was censored. That's funny. Take a shot. 1997. Titanic. Or Air Force One. As Good as It Gets. Good Will Hunting or LA Confidential. Cool, that's a tough one.
I am perfect. People are gonna say, "Oh, why is the Titanic? It's over 3 hours," because they're fucking idiots and don't know what editing actually is.
Hi.
So I will defend Titanic's win, but my answer is LA Confidential.
My answer is LA Confidential, but I have no problems with Titanic winning, and I wouldn't have an issue if any of these won. Maybe not Air Force One as much, but I mean, I think everything else is pretty solid.
Between LA Confidential and Good Will Hunting for me, I'd say.
Yep. 1998, Saving Private Ryan, which probably is the correct answer. But it's Jobbing Out, Life is Beautiful, Out of Sight, Shakespeare in Love, or Thin Red Line.
Out of Sight's a great inclusion.
Yeah, it is.
I almost want to say that, but clearly it would come down to Private Ryan and the Thin Red Line, which I'm gonna say Private Ryan is the right answer.
Yeah, I think they got it right with Saving Private Ryan.
Parsnip Burger says Titanic. Spencer says Goodwill. Take a shot. 1999. Would you stick with The Matrix? Or American Beauty? The Cider House Rules. Yeah, it does. The Insider or The Sixth Sense? Comedy for two is still comedy.
Yeah, that's a really good lineup, but I would stick with The Matrix. Yeah.
I've never seen it, so I have to go with what I have seen, and for that lineup, I'm going to go with American Beauty.
I'd stick with Matrix, but Insider and Sixth Sense are the ones that I like bubbling under.
Okay. It was till 1999. Brian's last thing is his personal lineups, and that's how we're taking it home. 2010's personal lineup. Adapted screenplay.
Also, just to clarify, he says I want to mention it's not ranked, so it's basically alphabetically, so it'll be the 5 nominees and then Bry's pick for the best of a decade.
Okay. Do you want to chime in on the answer here?
Sorry,
I have lots of answers for these, honestly. Adapted lineup. Alice in Wonderland, How to Overrate Your Dragon, On Days, Rabbit Hole, and 127 Hours.
I just wanted to correct your pronunciation of Entendé before we moved on. I was trying to do it without being dickish, but it's like I'm just gonna tell him.
I don't care. It won, by the way. At least I didn't call it Incendies. Original screenplay, Another Year, Blue Valentine, Gasland, Inception, and The King's Speech. He had Gasland winning. Lubna Azabal, Helena Bonham Carter, Melissa Desmorks-Poulin.
Desmorks-Poulin, I think.
God, you are a mark for this movie, good sir. And Leslie Manville. And then Ellen Page, now Elliot Page for Inception. Winner was Leslie Manville for Another Year. Supporting actor Ned Beatty for Toy Story 3. I like this a lot. Johnny Depp for Alice in Wonderland, Garfield for Social Network, Armie Hammer for Social Network, and Jeffrey Rush for The King's Speech. Going with Johnny Depp. Actress was Kidman for Rabbit Hole, Jennifer Lawrence for Winter's Bone, on the movie. Portman for Black Swan, Wasikowska for Alice, and Michelle Williams for Blue Valentine. Nicole Kidman for Rabbit Hole.
Correct.
Yeah. Brian's actor, Bardem for Beautiful, Eckert for Rabbit Hole, Colin Firth for King's Speech, Franco for 127 Hours, and Gosling for Blue Valentine. Eckhart.
Nice.
I like that. That's nice. Burton for director, Josh Fox for Gasland, Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois for How to Overrate Your Dragon, Villeneuve for On Sunday, Dying of Fire, and Nolan for Inception. He went with the overrated animated movie. Good job, Brian. And Best Picture, Alice in Wonderland, Another Year, Gasland, How to Train Your Dragon, On Sundays, don't care, Inception, 127 Hours, Toy Story 3, Rabbit Hole, and Restrepo. Interesting group. Do you want to guess what he picked based on the other answers?
Train Your Dragon?
Nope. Ashley, you have an answer?
Well, I'm looking at chat so I can see it.
Yeah, you can't see it. Never mind. Yeah, his winner is Gasland. The best Oscar movie of 2010 is a documentary. Interesting.
I don't want to hate on him on his choices. I was a little confused by all the Alice in Wonderland love, but that's okay.
Yeah, that was great. And everybody knows how much I hate How to Overrate Your Dragon, hence why I call it that. I do love the love for Rabbit Hole, though. That made me happy.
Yeah.
Blue Valentine getting love, that made me happy, too. I'm okay with some of this, so that's good. Social Network, yeah, that's good. Not seeing in picture, that's not good. But then again, movies are preferential, so you like what you like. So yeah, I think that's your show. Spencer Reed says, Goodwill, Thin Red Line, The Insider. Parsnip Burger says, I hate Alice in Wonderland. So do most people, Parsnip Burger. And I'm sure the panel here probably agrees with that. At least I know two of us do.
It's so fucking ugly. That it won production design, right?
Yes, it did.
What the fuck, man?
All right, choose the next tech category in the decade. I want to do it random instead of going with head. Ashley said 1970s production design? Yeah, 1970s production design, Brian.
Because I feel there's sort of a lot of like big films and sort of sci-fi things that probably could or should be in the list, but
sure. Speaking of lists, we just made it because we almost made it to 4 hours. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight, whether live or in archive. Had some fun chatting with you, and we'll join you again in 2 weeks. But first, make it official. Yeah. We're going to be talking about the new Main Street Singers. in 2 weeks, apparently, because I don't get what I want. I have to do it at the beginning of the month instead of the second week, but that's okay.
So the order will be, in 2 weeks' time, the mighty wind will be blowing.
Darn right.
Then, ironically, considering everything that's happening with AJ and Chris, Collateral will be next. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Then I guess we have the people's choice. So start submitting your things in,
Discord.
Discord. DM them to Owen, and then if he passes them on to me or whatever, I can then put them in the Discord. So then there's like a list in Discord as well that I can go to.
We're gonna have a very interesting conversation of the four of us, just like sitting around, like, well, I like this idea. Oh, I like this idea, and we're gonna get it down to one. That's gonna be real fun.
Then Mystery Men will be next, and because nobody trusts me apparently, with 0% of the votes, I'm last in the line.
I hope it's still on HBO Max by then.
Parsnip Burger
was early just to be safe.
Parsnip Burger wasn't your answer, Harold and Maude? I believe it was.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't recall off the top of my head, but I think that's right.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Brian says next episode 2011 lineup. That was an interesting year. Parsnip Burger says love you guys. I was like, we appreciate everybody coming in here and checking out the content. We appreciate whether you're here at the beginning of the show, the end of the show, whether you just chimed in for a second. We appreciate everybody coming in and listening to us answer questions awkwardly for 4 hours.
And him saying that makes me want to apologize for telling him to go fuck himself when he said he hated June. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. But yeah, May 1st, it's sad to think about. It's not too far from here. So get your questions submitted. We'll get those taken care of. And again, that's not a traditional show at all. Only if it's been mentioned on here in 10 years, then it's fair game. But again, as always, if it gets too hot, too extreme, we can choose not to answer things. Parsnip Burger says it didn't bother me. You were my favorite, AJ.
Nice.
That's nice to know. So yeah, that's going to be your show for today. Thanks everyone for joining us with the live or an archive. Ashley will be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. Literal Snack Stash popping up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to get into some 2023 movies in the very near future with AJ's reviews. Now that we're caught up, we've got plenty of Voices content, plenty of Sip and Snack content. So that's still to come. Ashley, of course, providing a lot of content outside in the gaming realm sometime in the near future too. So get ready for that too. AJ, of course, just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons and also going to not be found in any form of social media whatsoever. However, if you do want to show up on May 1st, ask questions, feel free to, or leave a comment and I will make sure it gets back to him. So we can definitely have that conversation on here. I will say right now that AJ content is going to be more of this year based moving forward, except for the verses, which will return in the future, but we don't have a date yet. There's been some scheduling conflicts with some circumstances beyond his control, but don't worry, everything will be taken care of sooner rather than later, and we can get back to a little bit more of a normalcy schedule here on the network. Sound about right?
Because I'm mostly thinking ahead to what September and October are going to look like.
Yeah, as always, when I dip into the fog, fingers crossed for my 5th year, we're gonna have basically AJ running the channel. AJ and Ashley will run the channel while I'm gone for Horror Nights, as long as that works. Fingers crossed it does.
I wasn't sure who I was gonna do, but I was thinking of how last year we did the William Hurt series.
Yeah. Hurting for the Eddie.
Where I do one movie at a time. I want to do that with a director, but I don't know who.
Should be fun.
Yeah, because so many directors I've already talked about their shit. So
We've done we did a loose version of that starting out a long time ago. If you haven't checked it out, there's a playlist called Summer of Tarantino, which is something that AJ reviewed all of the Quentin's movies at that point.
yeah, one person that came to mind because they've got a lot of classics and a lot of under the radar stuff that's great and a couple of shit things. I've only talked about one of the movies they've directed, but Harold Ramis would be
Oh,
a big contender for this. Is
very
that
cool.
that's Caddyshack, Groundhog Day, The Ice Harvest, Multiplicity.
A lot of stuff, weirdly enough, we've never talked on here about before.
Yeah, the only movie he's directed I think I've already talked about is Vacation,
Yep.
which I would just revisit for this if I did that.
Yeah, I do that.
It'd be very anticlimactic because we'd be ending on year one, which is depressing as fuck for a guy that was so great at his job, but it happens. That's why Tarantino wants to stop at the movie critic just in case.
Makes sense. So yes, if you joined us for 5 minutes or the full 4 hours, we appreciate you greatly. And again, hope to see you again in 2 weeks when we are going to be doing Popcast Movie Club. Date to be announced at this point. I feel like for the next couple times, I think the first week is fine, but the second, which would be the video for Collateral, weirdly enough, we're going to have to change those dates potentially. So stay tuned for more information on that.
The 1 in 2 weeks.
What's gonna help? What's gonna help is me and my brother will not need to watch Collateral because me and him know that movie by heart. So.
The 1 in 2 weeks, it might be a little bit like an hour or so earlier. It depends how it fits in terms of me wanting to watch WrestleMania and sort of getting enough of a buffer gap there and whatever.
It might be a difficult circumstance anyway because of everything. We'll get there, don't worry. Follow me on Twitter if you'd like, at Zero and Disney. Check out our Discord if you have any questions, or if you just want to chat, leave comments, things like that. You're able to do so on Discord. Link in the description bar below. That's your show for today. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Don't forget to stream all your water parks. Don't forget, we're literally almost intellectual property. It's only a couple weeks away, and God, I can't wait. I need something to be excited about right now. That being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.